And the president suggested that Ukraine shares the blame for Russia's invasion.
I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down.
Now an update on Pope Francis battling pneumonia now in both lungs at a hospital in Rome. He's 88 years old. America's listening to Fox News.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. It is a Zero FG Wednesday, and Los has started the day with the shoes off. It should be a roller coaster ride from here.
We got 4 hours of craziness coming.
That's right.
That's what we got on the agenda.
Buckle.
It just says crazy on our run sheet.
That's right. We'll hold it up. Everybody can see it. Just says merely crazy. And that's where we plan to be. We're without, though. We're down a man today.
I know. Sadness.
And we want to make sure that I know Joe's not up and listening because he's on some sort of flu medication.
Did you send flowers?
I didn't. I did text him and just, hey, man, how you holding up? And he was like, not good. Not good.
So considering that the flu is running around, Joe is the latest victim, which I can't get sick in part because I don't wear shoes.
Yeah, that's right. That prevents it.
The only time I put shoes back on is when I have to use the restroom in the office. But considering how severe this seems to be, I don't know. I might be ignoring shoes for a while.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of people around me, friends, family, whatever, have been struggling with this flu thing. And I'm reading. There's a doctor named Natalie Azar. She says worst flu season in the last 10 years. So there's that. I don't know what she's basing that on, but that's what this woman has said on social media. Meh. I'm going to take her at her word. But I have noticed that a lot of people have been sniffles and fevers and that sort of thing.
I mean, I guess I just kind of look at it as, all right, so you earned like 3 days of not feeling well. Like Joe,
it sucks.
Poor JoJo when he came in here yesterday.
Dude, he looked like hell warmed over.
Struggling.
Yeah, he was.
All of the jokes, all the fun, JoJo just sat there just like,
But I appreciate the fact that he
brought it into the office so that we could all be infected. That's awesome.
Yes.
I mean, considering that at a office event, I had somebody who tested positive for COVID talk to me outside.
Yeah.
And once he tested positive, he had to tell management and ownership, here's the list of people that I talked to during that day.
I don't think we're into that level.
And I had to stay home for a week.
Which, that doesn't sound all that bad.
And then when I came into the office, then I had to wear a mask for 3 or 4 days. It was the stupidest thing ever. So
stupid.
Get better, JoJo. I'm so glad we're back to old school where we can just be sick and get other people sick.
Yeah.
Because I told you, I killed grandmas by the thousands during COVID. 2021.
That's what they tell you. I mean, now we know better, right? We always knew better.
He just won't stay out of the bars.
Yeah, that's right.
He just won't stop living life.
He was trying to run on the beach. He tried to go to a park. He tried to go to church. This devil.
So here's poor JoJo rolling into the office trying to work, and he just basically spread his JoJo germs everywhere.
Yeah, but I appreciate his go-gettedness.
I hose down
his stick-to-itiveness.
I hosed down the control room with some Lysol.
I would imagine so. I mean, let's face it, y'all were I mean, y'all weren't like together sexually, but it wasn't far off when you're in the room together.
You're getting close.
Yeah.
Wow.
The boy likes to look over your shoulder.
That's right. Poor Jerry's just in there and he's like, that dude's sick.
Yeah,
And he's like
too.
4 feet behind me.
and he's breathing all this air. And
He'll bounce back. He's young.
yeah, he will. No, there's no doubt. I don't expect that he'll, surmise, succumb to this.
Look at it. Look at the bright side. JoJo's going to drop like 8 or 10 pounds because he can't eat.
Well, I guess that's the new diet, right? Is
Flu diet.
yeah, that's what I just.
I got
read.
the flu. Look how ripped up I look.
They were making fun of it. Really, they were just saying, like if you've got like a class reunion coming up or a wedding you need to go to, need to drop a few pounds, find somebody with the flu. It'll help you get it done quicker.
It's legit. I mean, you're going to drop weight.
Yeah.
Can't eat, and
Yeah.
holding on to fluid makes it really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough way to go through it, but I mean, whatever it takes, I suppose, man. I love the fact that you're willing to go all out. But yeah, we wish JoJo the best for sure, and hopefully he feels better very soon. Stephen Miller, this guy is great.
How does this dude keep hitting home runs?
What?
Like
Because
almost a daily basis.
Well, because he talks to dumb people. I mean, let's just be honest. He talks to dumb people.
Well, he's being interviewed by dumb people,
but that's
for sure. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Yes, I probably should have been a little more clear.
Like, he pretty much leaves the White House and goes, this is going to be easy from here.
Exactly. So he goes on CNN, and he's talking to one of the CNN hosts, and she tried to give him the give him the business, give him the runaround, and it was all about saving money in Doge, and he just fired right back and made her look dumb.
I understand that even a temporary interruption in federal employment is a great crisis and catastrophe for you and for CNN. What the American people see is a government that is finally delivering a promise of accountability under President Trump. You want to have a conversation about transparency? Let me ask you a question. Do you have any idea where the $22 billion that the Department of Health and Human Services provided to illegal aliens under Joe Biden is right now? $22 billion with a B. That's enough to provide a free house to every homeless veteran in America. Where's the $22 billion? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Joe Biden just spent it, and now it's gone. Transparency begins with having an accounting of where every federal dollar is spent. And God bless President Trump for leading this effort.
And I love the fact that he said, I know it's your stance. I think he was talking to Casey Hunt. I know it's your stance that you're going to push back and you're in favor of anything that is in opposition of what President Trump's trying to do. But then he wasn't done.
The American people are exhausted and tired of watching their tax dollars be corruptly spent, abused, wasted, and in every sense robbed and stolen from them. This president, for the first time in history, is committed to restoring accountability at every level of the federal government. You may assert there's no waste in the Pentagon. You may assert there's no waste in
Stephen,
Treasury.
I'm not
you may assert there's no waste in HHS.
That, Stephen, I don't think anyone...
Then why are you not celebrating these cuts? If you agree there is waste, if you agree there is abuse, if you agree there is corruption, why are you not celebrating the cuts, the reforms that are being instituted every day that no action is taken? The entire
Stephen, let's calm
salaries
down.
of American workers that are taxed disappear forever.
Stephen, let's calm down.
This is
we're not having a debate.
There's no reason
about whether there are places...
you are clearly trying to debate me, and I will be as excited as I want to be about the fact that we are saving Americans billions of dollars, that we are ending the theft and waste and grift and corruption, that we are stopping American taxpayer dollars from subsidizing a rogue federal bureaucracy that has been relentlessly weaponized against the American people.
Okay,
you
Stephen,
may not care about this issue.
I'm not talking about
your colleagues may not care about this issue, but we care about this issue. The American people care about this issue.
They also care about privacy.
And the American public overwhelmingly supports what President Trump is doing.
She's just trying.
That's when she went back to, well, Americans care about privacy. Right. If you send me a check for $700, I will send you a picture of my dong. Okay? Like, I'm just telling you, if Doge comes back with what they're really talking about,
which is what they say they're going to do,
a dividend.
Yeah.
Then I'll send you a picture of Tug's dong. And it's not going to be very easy to get a hold of that for me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's not like I'm sitting back with it like in my phone pictures. Yeah. I will seek it out and be like, $700? $1,000?
Seriously.
By the time we get through all the waste, fraud, and abuse, I will find a way to get a hold of this for you and be like, privacy be damned.
That's right. But that's the thing. Tell me where privacy exists. I mean, really. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and it's the truth. Every one of these tech companies, Google, Meta, even X, formerly Twitter, they have every piece of information about you. They use it, they sell it, they make millions of dollars off of it. Don't pretend to all of a sudden be concerned about privacy. I mean, I've been saying it for years. Dude, there's nothing private anymore. There is zero privacy. There's a little camera right here on my computer. Some people put a little piece of tape on it because they're afraid. Yes, because they're afraid it's going to get hacked, and it absolutely can. So please spare me your concern with privacy. With the guy that doesn't need any of your information, he's not trying to make money off of you. There's no need. He's the richest man in the world. You're telling me he's going after American citizens to make money. That's what she was asserting.
Maybe he'll find a way to make $3 million off the federal government.
$3 million is
Who cares?
that's like $38 to you and I.
Right.
You know? That's exactly what it is. But yet, CNN wants to act, all high and mighty. Well, look, people are concerned about privacy. No, they're concerned about being screwed. And that's what they've gotten for the last 20, 30 years. They're tired of being screwed. That's why the polling shows overwhelmingly that Americans support everything that's going on. And the fools in the Democrat Party and anybody else that's standing up as a resistance to Doge is committing career suicide or party suicide. And we'll hear from a billionaire Democrat a little later in the show that's saying the exact same thing. He's like, why aren't the Democrats? This is a Democrat who's a billionaire in the tech sector. And he's saying, why aren't the Democrats going, yeah, this should happen. We want to be a part of the conversation. But they're not.
We talked about it yesterday for a moment. So Pod Save America, that is run by two people that worked in the Obama White House. And Pod Save America, the two hosts were talking about, why didn't we think of this?
Right.
Because you have had, and we've played the audio, you've brought it into the show, where Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden, all of them have talked about dealing and curtailing waste, fraud, and abuse. Yet, it just ends up being a talking point. It's something to say, but not to do. And yet, you've had the systems in place, namely under Obamacare, where you actually have the authorization from the federal government that is now, it's in the law, where you can look for inefficiency and then, under the executive branch, get rid of it. Yet it took until Donald Trump 2025 with the richest man in the world and Elon Musk to actually execute it.
It was always a talking point. You're exactly right. It's like the lunch. When a friend that you don't see often and y'all both text back and forth, hey, let's get lunch one day, but you never set a date. It's just like, you'd like to see them, but life is happening and whatever. It just never, the lunch never happens. That's what this talking point in D.C. is like. It's the lunch that never happened. We're going to say it over and over, but we're not actually going to do it.
That's how you treat cousin Curtis?
Yeah, once in a while. I was
like, can't wait to go out to lunch. And you're like, I know I got to buy.
Yes, that's right.
I'm just going to go ahead and kind of scale this back.
And he may get arrested while we're at lunch.
Jerry, do you know about cousin Curtis, the cousin that is on
I've heard some stories.
Yeah. He's into slinging dope and other cool stuff.
Occasional larceny,
He's just trying to have a good time, man.
What's the big deal?
Always trying to have a good time. He's the cousin that has your name tattooed on his shoulder. Jerry.
Your name, Jerry.
Yeah, did you realize that?
So he's ready to talk about it.
I feel good.
Yeah, well.
Good about that.
Yeah, no, so.
Someone special out there.
The goof is it's the best bar joke in the world because no matter who he runs into, he can say, hey, man, I got your name tattooed on my shoulder. And when that person says, no, you don't, he's like, bet me a beer.
That's it, yep.
And he pulls it up, and on his shoulder it says your name. Physically, your name.
I've heard of that on a different body part. And that one he can pull out in a bar and not have to worry about going back to jail.
Oh, well, then okay. Well, cousin Curtis can't go that far. He didn't. He's not in that. He didn't have that body part, I don't think.
You send me a tax dividend, and I will show you my talent.
Yes, that's right.
All right, just telling you.
I'll put it on the privacy be damned.
We're going to put it on the line.
That's right. I'm going to start my OnlyFans. But that's the thing. It's crazy. how Stephen Miller just goes on a rampage. And I love the fact that it's like, why aren't you celebrating this? Why are you not celebrating this? And I would ask Democrats the same question. But what is it about stopping waste, fraud, and abuse that you know and admit exists? What is it that's holding you back from celebrating with the American people because they see it as a wonderful thing, something that they've been waiting on for years and years and years? But, let them continue to commit party suicide and let them continue to push back and lose on the message. Let them be on the 20 end of Los's 80-20 comparison there where they have it wrong 80% of the time and we have it right, or at least Donald Trump and Elon Musk have it right 80% of the time. The next thing the Democrats are going to get wrong is on Thursday, and that is during the Kash Patel nomination process confirmation hearing when they push back and they say all kinds of ugly things about him, and he gets confirmed anyway.
Yeah, we've now pushed through the point where the clock is ticking. We are now at a point where it's going to go in front of the entirety of Congress. It looks like outside of maybe Mitch McConnell, but then again, because of the backlash he's gotten when it came to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, might fall in line with these guys. It looks like Kash Patel will be that guy who by Thursday afternoon will have the power to sit where he's going to sit in terms of our FBI. Now, here's the fun part about all of this. The things he's promised us, do we get it by Friday?
Like he just goes in and flips.
Like I need to get an Epstein list going into the weekend. So I have all weekend to digest it.
I don't know if you get it that quick, but I bet you get it.
Yeah.
And you know what it'll be like?
It's got to have people freaking out.
Oh my gosh. Including, 50, 60, 70% of Washington, D.C.? Because let's say they didn't go on the trips. Let's say they didn't get on the plane like Bill Clinton did. I bet they're so tied in to whatever money was paid out or what, you know what I mean? Just all the filth and tentacles that'll come along with it. So many people in D.C. will be caught up in that, and they're going to be running for the doors. It's like the Social Security Administration. The what's her name, Miss King, that resigned yesterday when Doge got access to Social Security data, and she was like, "Uh-oh, I better retire.
Time to get out.
I better resign because I'm about to be left holding the bag because I've known." And this is the 30-year employee. I've known for 30 years this is happening, and I did nothing.
Well, when Kash Patel gets in, the idea that you're going to have a client list, whether when it comes to the Epstein client list. That's not saying, I believe in any sort of detail. It's not saying, here are the people that went to the island. It's just going to be known associates. And at that point, that's enough where everyone's going to be like, run over to that person and ask them questions.
Yeah, lots of questions. Let's hope that we get it by Friday. I'm going to roll the dice and say I don't think we'll get it Friday, but I think you get it. Which is the most...
Rolls out on Monday, start the week.
Woo! Yeah, because, look, it would actually be better if it does that because all those people that know they're on that list all weekend long have nothing to do but panic. It's like when you're riding the bus home when you're a kid and you failed your test or gotten a bad grade on your report card. Just the anticipation of getting home and having to talk about it. Oh, we've all experienced that. When we continue on Extra 106.3. Story time with Front Office Los. Get out your number 2 pencils. Get out your scratch papers. You're about to get an education.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Subaru of Gwinnett. You'll love the difference. Stream Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Glenn Beck, Fox News, and even NASCAR on Sundays. Anywhere on the Extra 106.3 app. Download the app now and get 24/7 access to the live stream, the latest news, and everything you need to know about Atlanta's only conservative talk station. Download the Extra 106.3 app for Apple or Android and check out even more great original content at thepodcastpark.com.
Comfort is something that
Atlanta Braves.
Comfort's something that we all want, right? We all want to be comfortable, no matter what it is. Is it? Let's say it's a new pair of jeans. You just want them to fit right, or new shoes. You want it to fit right. That way, we're walking down the street. Everything is nice and comfy, and you're all taken care of. Your home, no different. You want that to be comfy. Not only for you, but for your family. Man, they're the prized possessions inside. Let's make sure that they're comfortable. You can do that easily with central heating and air conditioning. They can come out and do the maintenance on your current systems, make sure that they work as long as they possibly can. I compare it to getting the oil changed in the car over 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Make sure it's going to last. Because it's expensive. Or if you're past that point and you need a new carrier system now, well, they can save you with the 28th annual winter white sale. It goes on till the 28th, so the end of the month. You can save $2,000, the best in the business, working with the best in the business. That'd be Carrier and Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Chuck and his team been operating in Atlanta 78 years, one of the few second-generation locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. So if you're in the market for comfort, call Chuck and his team at Central. 770-GET-HEAT or centralheat.com.
Atlanta Braves fans, May is Military Appreciation Month and a great time to show your patriotism by purchasing a VIP table at the Warrior Alliance 4th Annual Veteran Impact Awards and Gala. The event will be held on Thursday, May 22nd at the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater at the Battery, Atlanta, and features dining, live entertainment, and Georgia-based veterans being honored for the significant contributions they are making in our communities. Purchase your VIP table today or make a donation at thewarrioralliance.org.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? That's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
When it comes to protecting your assets and ensuring peace of mind, trust the expertise of Nelson Elder Care Law. Our Absolute Protection Trust is designed to provide unparalleled asset protection. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com to discover how our specialized services can safeguard your family's future and assets, offering you the assurance you deserve. NelsonElderCareLaw.com.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
It's February 19th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today's International Tug of War Day. Dropped from the Olympic Games in 1920, tug of war still remains a worldwide sport, and many nations have their own governing bodies. On this day in 2019, Bernie Sanders announces he is running for president for a second time. Also on this day in 2019, New York City bans hair discrimination to limit racial stereotyping. The U.S. Fifth Fleet launches the invasion of Iwo Jima against the Japanese with 30,000 U.S. Marines toward the end of World War II in 1945. In 1878, Thomas Edison granted a patent for his gramophone or phonograph, which was an early sound reproducing machine. Born on this day in Paddington, England in 1963, singer-songwriter Seal. Kiss Moroz, his biggest hit, released in 1994. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Wednesday, February 19th. There is a potential for winter weather making its way into the North Georgia mountains this morning. Several North Georgia schools districts have already decided to cancel class and are going virtual as a precautionary measure due to the hazardous conditions. Closed are Calhoun, Walker, White, and Whitfield County schools. Classes will perhaps resume tomorrow. Several streets around the Tech Square in Midtown will be closed off for vehicles and pedestrians starting on Wednesday evening as a Tyler Perry production will be going on in the city. Also on Tuesday, Braves Full squad workouts began for spring training. As for game action, that will begin this weekend as they will face off against the Minnesota Twins to open up spring training action. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
6 o'clock hour is brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett. Get over there if you are worried about this winter weather, which, look, Los just named off the counties that are. So it's a little north of here, but a lot of people from that area probably listening to this show right now.
You need a Subaru.
Yes, you do. Go to Subaru.
How else are you going to get back and forth over from the market?
Well, let me tell you.
If you're going to have to get, news from the city from Ma and Pa, you're going to need a Subaru to go back and forth.
That's right. And a good cell phone. That way you can listen on the Xtra 106.3 app. That way we keep you up.
You have to climb to the top of a pole to see if you can get a signal.
Not anymore. It used to be that way. It was down in kind of off from downtown. It was the WBLJ tower. I remember it was set right in front of the old E&B building. Before that carpet company was bought out by Shaw Industries. But my whole life I knew where the radio tower for WBLJ was.
Do you ever think that Ma, years ago, because again, cell phone technology and everything that we have is much better, but do you think that she ever was had to get to the top of the hill to call out?
It was usually calling out to me, hey, right. Come on home. It's time for dinner. It'd be dark outside, and she'd be trying to locate you. That's when she'd have to go out there and call for people.
Tug!
No, it'd be Jerry. Jerry, come on home. That's just the way it was. It always worked that way. Because I'm sure you were the same way, right? Mom and Daddy had to go track you down when you were a kid.
It was a very clear rule. When the sun was down, it was time to go home. Okay. That was it. That was all.
Yeah, huh? I think I had that rule too. I just don't know that I always followed it to the letter of the law. It got a little sideways sometimes.
Oh, I could call home and let my mom know. And oftentimes we were at the Peterson house. I was like, our friends around the corner. It's like, as long as I was at the Peterson house, I could stay there as long as I wanted. Okay, anywhere else, you're going home.
I know for me, we were always out on four-wheelers. So they didn't have a clue where we were. We'd be, there was times when I would be 15 miles from home, just on a four-wheeler and having to flip it on. You ever get to that point where you had to flip it to the reserve tank of gas? And you're like, God, I hope I get home. God, because, you just have to leave your four-wheeler and walk, the rest of the way. It was, it could have been tragedy.
Yeah, we're all like regular MacGyvers.
Yeah.
Just exploring, doing whatever you wanted.
More just redneck hillbillies, just out there getting muddy and doing all the things that you do up in Northwest Georgia. It is it's a good way to live, for sure. All right, get your number 2 pencils out. Get your scratch paper ready and get ready to go to school. Let's do story time.
Settle in and get comfortable, folks. It's story time with Uncle Los.
Thank you, Ramjack. Thank you, Tug.
You betcha, buddy.
Thank you, Sweet Clean Jerry. And thank you,
Sick Joey.
Sick JoJo. Just trying to survive.
Stay far away.
And by the way, congratulations on your new position.
Oh, yeah, man. It was announced yesterday.
The new studio producer of Atlanta Braves, the radio network.
That's
where our JoJo is moving on. He's leaving us, and he's going to run the studio production for the entirety of the largest sports network when it comes to an individual team in the country. So congratulations to JoJo.
And feel better soon.
If you get a chance to reach out to him, make sure you congratulate him for all of his hard work. Let's start story time with Ramjack, and thank you to that. Because yesterday, if you saw the incredible video of the plane crash that occurred in Canada, this was a flight that originated out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I saw the video from the interior of the plane. I don't know if you saw this. The guy who had his cell phone out. Guy has his cell phone, and this is when the evacuation of the plane is occurring. And as the crew and the people that are on site are helping people get out of the plane, clearly the plane doesn't look like it looks like it's upside down.
Well, yeah.
He gets out of the plane, he turns around, he's filming it, and all he kept basically saying is, F, bro, I was on this plane. F, bro, I was on this plane.
I'm sure it's shocking.
And the way it looks is if a very talented pilot, perhaps they lost some sort of elevator controls, but they recognize, I got to land this thing on its head. Like, that's a pretty talented pilot. I tell you, landing in the Hudson River, No problem. Landing a plane upside down, different. You're a talented individual. I can't land a plane upside down.
I don't know if I can land a plane anywhere.
I'm pretty sure I can put it in the water. It's no big deal. Want to make a movie about me. Anyway, so considering that occurred, you then had NBC that wanted to take this plane crash that, keep in mind, went under Canadian authority. That's who was in charge of the plane. This is how NBC tried to spin it, that it was Donald Trump's fault.
I did want to, underscore, to pick up on the conversation you were just having, though, in terms of the recent string of aviation incidents, Tom. This is going to yet again raise the concern about FAA staffing, air traffic control staffing. Now, this is a Canadian air traffic control tower, and this is under Canadian authority once it crosses the border. And yet, as you know, there has been this talk about maybe staff cuts at the FAA as a part of President Trump's effort to trim down the federal workforce. And yet, as you also know, the FAA has been complaining for years that they are understaffed in critical job positions, especially air traffic control. I was having a conversation with somebody today about whether air traffic control in America is being affected by the staff cuts. So far, not to their knowledge, and yet other positions related to maintaining critical equipment appear to have been cut. So this is going to feed into all of these recent incidents, and the safety of the total air traffic system is going to be very much a part of the conversation as we go forward, at least on this side of the country, of the border, I should say.
So let me get this straight. The plane crosses into Canada. It has an accident. You have some people injured, but everyone survives.
Yeah, 18 injured, I believe.
And yet it's Donald Trump's fault, even though it only has to do with Canadian authorities on that side of the border.
Got to blame somebody, Los.
Because, there was staff cuts. This is where the media is dead. That is pure propaganda, all right? And it got me to thinking, as far as this story time, and thank you to Ramjack. It got me to thinking, we have now reached the point where we are post-legacy media. We talk about the importance of X, and we talk about how people consume media now. X is now the largest news site in the entirety of the world. You get your information, you get your analysis, everything now goes through X. And you get it unfiltered. You get both ends of an issue. You will get people that will spin it a certain way to you. You'll also get the opposite side, but you're getting both ends. That's what's different about the media. And it got me to thinking, the media died on June 27th of 2024. That was the last day of the media. Do you recall what you were doing on June 27th of 2024?
If I had to guess, I was
sitting...
It wasn't pickleball. No, that was probably earlier in the afternoon.
Anybody else? June 27th?
I feel like I was sitting on the couch watching the debate between Trump and Biden.
That's what you were doing.
Okay.
And remember, we were told for the better part of 5 years, and then 4 years when Joe Biden was in office. He's great. Sharp as a tack.
Never been better. Perfect. Running laps around me. That's what Joe Scarborough said.
He is awesome. Joe Scarborough told you, F you if you think something different.
That's exactly right.
All right. So I went back, because I was just kind of curious. And you can always go find this on YouTube. I went back to go find what the instant reaction was, the instant analysis. Because remember, Joe basically spent the better part of what was 90 minutes. We were all texting one another like, man, this is bad.
How can this be happening?
How can this be happening?
They told us everything is great.
They told us everything was great. We spent that morning talking about how they were going to drug cocktail up Joe, and he was going to sound with it. He was going to sound great. We talked about how he's only functional from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., but you're going to hold a debate that's going to start at 9. How bad could this go? All right, I want you to take a listen.
Worse than we ever considered.
Worse than we ever considered.
And we knew it was bad.
Remember, we beat Medicaid. It's like, I think you meant COVID. I think at one point Donald Trump said, I don't know what he just said, and he doesn't know either.
That's right.
Like, that was one of the lines of the debate.
That's right.
I don't know what he just said, and he doesn't know either. I want you to take a listen to Rachel Maddow. This is, as the debate is ending, this is now, all right, we're going to Rachel Maddow. It's MSNBC. Right now, Joe Biden's presidency is on the ropes, and it's not because of us. It's because of his own party. And the legacy media is now hanging on for dear life, recognizing that what you say in probably the next 90 seconds is going to determine whether or not the legacy media survives as a mainstream outlet in this country. Take a listen to Rachel Maddow.
And that is the first presidential debate of the 2024 election cycle at a very unusual time with very unusual format. And I think with probably strange results. We'll see the response from both sides. But if you're the Biden campaign, I think you wish that this night will be remembered in reverse as the president became sort of stronger, including literally his voice, the strength of his voice over the course of the night, probably peaking towards the very, very end of the debate. For the Trump campaign, I think it's fair to say it was the inverse. President Trump, just in terms of his coherence and finishing a sentence and seeming to be in control of his own emotions, started off as strong as he was. The strongest point for him was at the very beginning of the debate. And then over the course of the night, he became less coherent and more visibly flustered.
If anyone sat through that, that's Rachel Maddow giving you the company line of how do I cover for what I have just seen, the Hindenburg disaster. It seems the balloon popped, but everyone's okay.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Move
Everything's fine.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. That giant flaming turd that is falling from the sky, there's nothing to see here. That is the night the legacy media died. So when you have NBC blaming Donald Trump for a plane crash in Canada, based on the cuts that they're claiming that are going on, this is why everyone rolls their eyes. This is why no one's paying attention. This is why when they poll and they're like, why is this not working? Why is he more popular than ever? How are we not able to influence these people? It was your own fault.
They
damn
don't listen to you anymore.
You did it. You went ahead and told me for 4 years that Joe Biden was the next coming of Einstein. And then when I watched him get up in front of the entirety of the country, he babbled and nearly drooled on himself.
Yeah, it's hard to take what Rachel Maddow said seriously if you watched that debate, because it wasn't anything like she said. Trump seemed strong through the whole thing and pointed out how incoherent and how unprepared, maybe just because it's physical, maybe his dementia kicked it, whatever it is. But she tried to convince you that he got stronger as the night went. I watched the whole debate. I didn't see that.
So they followed that up. There was a follow-up with Joy Reid. And Joy Reid initially talks about how, well, the president does have a stutter, and he had
right.
Remember,
I've forgotten about the stutter.
Now, remember, they also said, well, he has a cold.
Oh, yes, that's right. He may be on cold medication.
And
I remember this.
So
yes.
she tries this for like 25, 30 seconds, and then you just see the air come out of the balloon as she goes, but I'm getting text messages and calls from everybody that's wondering whether or not we should pull him off the ticket. Like, she tried the company line. I'm going to try.
And she couldn't even convince herself of saying it.
And then she's like, but this is not going to work any further. But Rachel Maddow, give credit to Rachel Maddow. There's a reason why they pay her in the way she does. She managed to take that chicken S and turn it to chicken salad as best she could with a straight face.
But you say that, and it's the exact opposite of that, though, Los, because that's, like you said, that's what drove the stake in.
That's why they're dead.
So she kept the company line, but she won the battle but lost the war.
Yes. When you go through that night of all the audio, and it's one, for the most part, Democrat analysis after another, and they're all saying, we're in big trouble. He's not, but she was the one towing the line as the main person on MSNBC. She's going to keep up the fight. That is why the legacy media is dead. So whenever they blame Trump for whatever they want to, blame him for whatever you feel like. No one's listening to you all anymore because of what you did on June 27th of 2024.
That was what burst the bubble. You'd been doing it for 40, 50, 60 years. It just finally caught up to you at that point. And it's dead and over with. Thank you, Front Office Los. Storytime is always an entertaining and informative segment on the show. And if you ever miss any of it, go back, because you got to remember, Los did the way that Doge was created weeks and weeks and weeks ago. And you're still hearing people talk about, hey, did you know that Doge was created under something that Obama used in Obamacare?
I've been stolen from.
Multiple times, many times, over and over and over again. That's why you can't miss Story time with Los.
That's why we ended up having Mr. Sexton
Yes.
saying it on Friday, and you're texting me. I'm like,
Yes.
did y'all know this was created under Obama?
That's exactly right. Buck Sexton.
Buck Sexton. I'm like, yeah, we can have a go, man.
Buddy. And then other commentators here in town doing the exact same thing.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
I understand that even a temporary
In college baseball, Kennesaw State hosted the number 8 Georgia Bulldogs for a midweek matchup. Despite the Owls' best efforts in late innings, UGA held on for a 6-4 victory. In Statesboro, the Georgia Southern Eagles welcomed in the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, with Tech claiming a 5-3 victory. In the Major Leagues, Braves spring training games begin Saturday afternoon at 1:05, taking on the Minnesota Twins. The Hawks come back from the All-Star break tomorrow evening, hosting the Orlando Magic. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Jerry Payne.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Kimmer. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Guess who among Democrats is polling number 1 to be their next candidate for President of the United States? Kamala Harris. Boy, the Democrats and the Democrat voters have really learned their lesson this time, haven't they?
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Atlanta Braves single-game tickets for the 2025 season are on sale. And not only can fans look forward to some incredible matchups this season, but the Braves have a ton of unique and exciting giveaways that everyone will want to get their hands on. Bobbleheads feature Chris Sale and Marcell Ozuna, presented by Delta. A throwback bobblehead featuring Chipper Jones from the 2000 All-Star Game, presented by SeatGeek, and many more. Fans can also look forward to collectibles like the 1995 World Series replica ring and red home jersey presented by Coke. And we can't forget about the kiddos. Every Sunday home game, the Braves will give away items to the first 3,000 kids through the gates. Even the adults will want some of these items, which include the Blooper Mascot Security T-shirt, Ozzy Albies Go Fish deck of cards presented by Curacao, a New Island vibe, a sliding mitt, pool float, beaded player necklace, and so much more. Visit Braves.com/promos to see all of these awesome freebies and get your tickets to see your Braves this season. Atlanta Braves baseball. We are Braves country.
Looking for the perfect car, truck, or SUV? Jim Ellis Buick GMC has you covered. With a huge selection of new and used vehicles, finding the right fit is easy.
Whether it's a Buick Enclave or Envision, a GMC Acadia or Yukon, or the power of the Sierra and Canyon trucks, and the best part, you're never alone in the process.
Their expert sales team helps match you with the right vehicle, while their finance specialists make buying simple and stress-free.
With decades of experience, Jim Ellis Buick GMC understands the importance of offering an expansive inventory that fits every driving performance, style, and budget need. Plus, every new Buick and GMC comes with cutting-edge technology, premium comfort, and advanced safety features so you can drive with confidence.
Already a Buick or GMC owner? Well, keep it running like new with their state-of-the-art service center staffed by factory-trained technicians who know your vehicle inside and out. Start your search at JimEllisBuickGMC.com or shop in person in Chamblee off Peachtree Boulevard, inside the perimeter, or in Beaufort off Highway 20 near 985. Jim Ellis, Buick GMC, we are professional grade.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Are you the type of consumer that likes to do your research before you choose a company? Well, then you need to join Dan Watkins, Chris Lolamy, and myself, Jim Niarchos, every Saturday morning at 9 for the All Four Seasons Home Show. We only vet local businesses with a proven history of integrity, competence, and solid customer service. The All Four Seasons Home Show helps you make a good consumer decision, save money, and not get ripped off. You can also follow our podcasts on Apple, Google, and Spotify. The All Four Seasons Home Show, Saturday mornings at 9, right here on Extra 106.3.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
This is House Call for Health. Studies show maintaining positive relationships is a key factor in human longevity, but adding stress to a relationship could have reverse effects. Stress is often linked to health concerns like anxiety, insomnia, and fatigue. Rosie Shrout, a professor at Purdue University, says relationship stress should be considered a public health priority because of its potential risks.
Distressed spouses not only have an increased risk for divorce, but also for disease development and early mortality.
Shrout says the hormone called cortisol is responsible for the body's stress response, which can lead to health issues if it remains high, because people with stressed out partners who use negative behaviors during conflict had higher cortisol levels, even for hours after the conflict ending. Shrout notes if you're in a stressful relationship, the first thing you should do is talk things out and listen to each other. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health, I'm Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn Beck until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And The Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
I learned from The View what my Aunt Peg will be saying a little later today.
Isn't that fun that you can just watch them and know exactly what she's thinking?
That's exactly right. I'll be like, oh, that's where that came from.
But she just sits there and she's like, feed me.
That's right. Give me all the lowdown.
Tell me what I must know.
That's right. It's like,
TV Jesus, tell me what I must say.
That's right. Before I get to that, remember when we were talking about how the Democrats have been reduced to singing? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Yes, all their chanting now.
Yes, and the chants. And there's been 2 or 3 more. We played one yesterday. I saw one on social media yesterday, and it was more of it sounded more like a alt-rock type of chant, but, very useless and pointless nonetheless. But I want you to listen to this. This is from NPR. As Trump takes over leadership at Kennedy Center, some protest through dance. So they've gone from singing in protest to now they're dancing in protest.
Why are they Here's how it goes. Beat us at the ballot box.
They can't, dude.
And then after you lose, then you protest like there's something that's illegal going on.
Right.
Like we're trying to save our democracy. You bees almost ruined everything.
Yeah.
We're setting it right back in the world again.
Thank the Lord.
I got a friend of mine who's pretty apolitical. You know what he sent me last night?
What's that?
He sent me a picture from his phone, and it actually had on whatever he was searching on, Gulf of America. He was shocked by it. He was like, look at this. I was like, it's happening.
Yeah, buddy. Hard to argue with it. And the AP has been kicked out of the reporter room there at the briefing room
at the White House.
Yeah, the White House
briefing room,
because they've decided they're not going to use Gulf of America. But there's a lot more going on. There's a lot of things that they've chosen not to do. And they have this, what is it called, the AP style guide that kind of sets the tone for all the leftist BS you hear throughout the country in different outlets. So there's a lot of things that the AP is doing to try to control the language, which ultimately will get to controlling the narrative. And that's why this fight is being had, not because Donald Trump cares if they call it Gulf of America or not. It was nothing but a troll to begin with. But it's just funny. As Trump takes over the leadership, this is NPR. Some protest through dance. Boy, that'll do something.
Protest through dance.
That'll do something, Los. That'll get everybody's attention. That'll have everybody backing down quickly.
That's where that moment where everyone goes, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
They're dancing now.
Yeah, that's right. I certainly can't stand up to that dance.
I know that I voted for him, but now that you're dancing, maybe
I was wrong.
I should reconsider.
I'm going to, yes. I'm not going to support him any longer. Not because of that dance that you just did. It was impressive.
Like a lot of these people, what they need is an adult version of a wedgie.
Right. Or a swirly.
Yes. Where somebody just says, come here, you. Put your head in this toilet.
Yes. I want you to hear what my Aunt Peg will be talking about later on her Facebook page. Whoopi Goldberg says DOGE and the U.S. government needs to cut funding to SpaceX because you know what? We already have NASA.
Let me say someplace that could really use a lot of cutting. Yeah. Elon has very many, what do you call it?
Government contracts?
Government contracts. Yeah. I think, because I don't remember, maybe y'all heard it, but I don't remember looking for an armored car. I don't care what it looks like. I don't remember asking for it. I don't know why I'm paying for it. Yeah. I want to know, when did I say, hey, we need another agency next to NASA? So when did we start paying for his stuff?
You're talking about SpaceX overseeing FAA?
No. You know that he's going to be cutting NASA.
Yeah.
That's the competition. So what is the real deal here? If we want to cut some money, let's cut some of these. I'm okay with that. You are paying for everything he sends up that comes back down, that falls back down and breaks up.
It sounds really good on the surface, except NASA can't get anybody up there. NASA doesn't have the ability or the technology. They've left 2 astronauts stranded up there right now that Elon Musk is going to save. So maybe she should probably take that into consideration.
You know, I am hesitant to call somebody dumb. Mm-hmm. What I will say is there are times when you've chosen to be ignorant.
Yeah, willfully.
So under the Obama administration, NASA got massive cutbacks because the Obama administration did not consider space to be a priority any longer. For some reason, they looked at the idea of being able to not only have the technology in space, have the warfare technology in space, and somehow that was not important. You have SpaceX, which has already shown to the federal government, we can do it the same way NASA does, and we can do it cheaper. We can do it for a tenth to a third of the cost at times. That is why they have government contracts. And it was an open bid process where you had a multitude of different companies that basically tried to say, we can do this. It was SpaceX that ended up winning the contract. So the reason why it went to them, why it got privatized, is so that we're not spending crazy money with NASA. It isn't a competition. It is almost a reallocation of assets to something cheaper to do the same stuff NASA was doing.
And it works.
And it works.
So then I want to go back to something else that she mentioned.
Whoopi's so dumb.
I'm telling you, man. Maybe it's because it's ABC versus NBC. But did you see where she brought up, if you heard in the very beginning of that, she brought up the armored car thing.
Yeah.
That was talking about the Cybertruck that Rachel Maddow put her foot in her mouth in at late last week when she was like, well, see, they're already awarding Elon Musk these contracts for armored Cybertrucks. They're already, scratching each other's back. And then, well, lo and behold, she finds out that Biden did that.
It was all under his administration.
Boop, foot, mouth, here you go. And then you have Whoopi.
This is grasping at straws, by the way.
No kidding. But then you have Whoopi regurgitating it. Did she not see the laughter?
Was she not aware?
That brought, that was brought because of Rachel Maddow putting her foot in her mouth? I guess it's because it's 2 different networks. But you would think they're getting their same talking points for the same people. Maybe they should be like, oh, hey, scratch that one. Rachel put her foot in her mouth.
So I have not gone down this road in a while where I get to kind of catch all the stuff from the leftist trough. Like when I pointed out when they were so upset a couple weeks ago when Doge was getting going and starting to make all the cuts that they're doing, I would tell them, blame Obamacare. But what happened was the liberal fighting point was, he's stealing our information online. They're hacking the Treasury. Mm-hmm. This was the sort of stuff that was in their online groups. This is what was going on Blue Sky. All these people just go to their trough and they go get whatever talking points are there, even when it's not legitimate. That's what they do. All Whoopi is doing, she went to the trough, she fed like a pig, and then she regurgitated what she had heard.
Even though it was wrong. This is the beauty of it all. When we come back on Extra 106.3.
Oink.
The real reason Zelensky and those European leaders haven't been involved in the Ukrainian peace deal. After a Fox News update on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
Apparently, it's true. The facts are, 1, China sends fentanyl to Mexico. Fact number 2, there are thousands of Chinese nationals working in factories in Mexico, turning the fentanyl into pills. Fact number 3, the pills are then smuggled into America to poison us. How is it possible that the Federal Bureau of Investigation is not all along the border, and how come our U.S. military is not bombing all those factories? If I were president of the United States, they'd be blown up. It'd be like that freaking Harrison Ford movie where you get the undercover boys and you go wipe them off the freaking face of the earth and they suffer the consequence. Patriot game.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. Now that President Trump has unburdened us from what could have been, our country's finally headed in the right directions. But the Democrats are screaming and yelling and losing their minds. And unfortunately, the bad guys are still here and they want your stuff. Thank you, Joe Biden. And customers are still reporting break-ins and thefts of their hard-earned valuables. Don't wait till it's too late. Get a quality safe from the Safe House. We carry the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. And remember, gun safes are sales tax-free at Atlanta Safe House. So give us a call or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Government schools. You know, I'm not a fan of what they call public schools. First of all, they're not public schools, they're government schools. They are owned and operated by the government on government land in government facilities, following government guidelines and rules. Government schools. Now in Florida, years ago, and this happened while I was still on the air, so that's going to make it maybe 15 years ago, they were grading all of the government schools. They would get a grade anywhere from A to F, based upon how well the Rugrats were learning, their reading capabilities, their mathematics capabilities. And if a school got an F, the students in that school were eligible for transfers and state money to get into private schools. So one year, a school in Osceola County, no surprise, got an F. The parents were outraged. The teachers were outraged. We failed? No, we can't fail. We're union teachers. We do all of this perfectly. So how did these union teachers handle that failing grade after the summer was over and the students were returning to school? Students whose parents couldn't get them a transfer to another school somewhere, parents whose students didn't have the wherewithal to put them in a private school, even with state help. How are we going to handle this? So when the kids showed up for the next year at this Osceola County school, the teachers were all wearing T-shirts that said F, a big F on the T-shirts. But underneath the F, it said something else. The T-shirt said F is for fantastic. They took failing schools and turned them into fantastic schools. What a way to con the parents and especially the students. Let's get rid of government schools. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
No one trusts Russian leader Vladimir Putin, and as the war still rages, Ukraine's army is resilient enough. Zelensky will soon meet with U.S. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg. Zelensky wants American security guarantees to keep Russia at bay if there is an agreement to end the war. This is the day after President Trump suggested Ukraine was partly to blame for Russia's invasion.
Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine.
Zelensky says President Trump is living in a Russian disinformation space. The president sat down with Elon Musk, defending him and Doge in an interview with Fox's Hannity.
I wanted somebody really smart.
Musk says the goal of the Department of government efficiencies to carry out what President Trump was elected to do and slash federal spending. As for Democrats calling him an out-of-control billionaire acting illegally, Musk says by
fighting the will of the people and preventing the president from implementing what the people want, then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy.
Now, in one of the many anti-Doge lawsuits, a federal judge denied Democrat attorneys general attempts to block Musk from getting access to federal agencies' data. Winter keeps hitting us hard. There are storm warnings and advisories, Arkansas to New Jersey. Some areas that were damaged in Kentucky's deadly flooding disaster are going to get snow and ice. And Fox meteorologist Janice Dean says it's frigid, too.
Much of the country is under this Arctic blast. Cold weather alerts, really from the border of Canada to the border of Mexico.
It's in the 20s in Brownsville, Texas. Feels like 5 below in Dallas. The wind chills more than 40 below zero in the Dakotas. Pope Francis remains hospitalized in Rome. The Vatican now says he has pneumonia in both lungs, but as the 88-year-old Pope slept well, was able to eat breakfast. America's listening to Fox News.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Start your day with live and local conservative talk with Tug, Rhino, and Carlos Medina on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3.
And think about that, Jerry Payne. The dude's name is Lamont.
Middle name.
Middle name of Tug Coward is Lamont.
Yes. Lamont. Yes, that's correct. My sister is Siobhan, and my brother was Lamar.
Interestingly enough.
All middle names.
What about Curtis?
Curtis? I don't know Curtis's middle name.
Tyrone.
Probably Leroy. No, I was thinking, yeah, it could be Tyrone. I was thinking Leroy, but I don't know.
But let's face it, your parents were big fans of Sanford and Son. And so they kind of gave you middle names that kind of fit with the programming, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Is there. It's so very clear. Jerry Lamont, Jennifer Siobhan, Johnny Lamar.
Yeah.
So, yes, the influence of Sanford and Son, which was my daddy's favorite TV show and my favorite TV show by being introduced so much and watching it so much. It's my favorite TV show of all time. And it always was on right before the Braves on TBS.
So the audience of this radio program keeps growing. And so thank you for that. And so if you had not heard that Jerry has a really fun middle name, well, now you know. And now you can go about your day going, really?
His name's Jerry Lamont.
Is he actually messing around with us? No, legitimate.
It's legit, yeah.
It's because of Sanford and Son.
It's on my driver's license. It's on my birth certificate.
Jerry Lamont.
And let me tell you, anytime anybody looks at it, they're like, middle name Lamont? I mean, it's like a dog that hears a whistle, they tilt their head. And
everyone checks your ID and they kind of go,
okay. All right. Good enough. Yeah. It's been with me a long time, and I reckon it ain't going anywhere soon. You know, what's your middle name?
Andrew.
Andrew, you've told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't stand out. Jerry Payne, what is your middle name?
Ray. I'm a junior, so my parents just ran out of ideas, and they said, well, it's another one.
So Jerry Ray
Payne Jr.
But
Okay.
That's very country when you go.
Yes, sir, it is.
I'm not sure you're an active shooter or you're a serial killer, because that's pretty typical of Rays when it's like Jerry Ray Payne.
Yeah, that's right.
Active shooter, serial killer, either one.
If you put that out there and be like, hey, Cobb police are on the
They're
lookout
looking out for Jerry Ray Payne.
Everybody's going to be like
it's like a video game character, and we know it's like fake.
That's right.
He headed up 575 in a couple hours.
That's exactly right. Watch out for him. He may break the law at any point. You can't tell.
Just claim he's a patsy.
That's right.
Jerry Ray.
Yeah, he's a patsy.
What did he do?
Well, that's what my cousins would do. It was always just Jerry Ray. It just became one word.
That's funny.
Well, that may be what it needs to be.
Jerry Ray.
Jerry Ray. Mm-hmm. It's not even R-Y. It's just J-E-R. Jerry Ray.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Like, I mean, we already went through 4 years of Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's right.
J apostrophe Biden. Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Jure.
Is perfect as he joins the Morning Extra as Joe cycles out here.
It's a
in the
big
next couple
help
weeks.
for us, considering that we're losing our dear JoJo, who's going over to Braves Radio Network. And if you missed it yesterday, so in the building we have down the hall Braves Radio Network. And I believe it's 143 stations that are all attached to that one studio. That's how many people across the Southeast listen to Braves baseball.
Don't forget about MLB app or Sirius XM. Anything you hear that is audio from the Braves is generated from our building.
And JoJo is going to be the one who's going to be captaining that ship.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Seems like a lot of responsibility.
So we were very concerned about what was going to happen for us.
And then we got
JoJo.
Jure.
And Jure ends up rolling right in. We're like, okay, as I joked with him.
We're going to be fine.
That's going to stick, isn't it?
It's nice working with proper villains.
That's right.
Because Jure knows what he's doing.
Well, that and Mike Key, our promotions director, said of Jure, do you notice he looks like Freddie Freeman? And it took me a second. I was like, dear God, he does. And then I mentioned it to our traffic coordinator, Tiffany. And Tiffany was like, oh, and her eyes got real big. She was like, oh my God, he looks just like him. And he used to work on the Burt Show way back when. And tell the story, Jure.
So many stories with Burt Show.
Back on that station, they would have this is when Freddie was here in town, and so they sent me to the ballpark in a Braves pitcher's jacket and baseball pants and everything, doing a fake Freddie Freeman look-alike, take a picture with him. And when he was here in town, I would get it about twice a week.
That's
awesome. Related to Freddie?
Yeah, seriously, get the hair. All of it. It's everything. And he genuinely looks like him.
Can I ask a couple of Burt Show questions?
Go for it.
Because Burt would listen to our show in Afternoon Drive with Chuck and Chernoff for years. And so if ever we made a joke, we would get like a text message like, really, guys? Like, why are you going after me? It's like it was very fun and lighthearted.
Because we're all in the building together
we
at one
all
time.
worked together in the building.
101.5 was there, 99X, Rock 100 now.
Yep, we were all in the same building at that time. So we would all see each other in the hallways. You'd be like, oh, look, they're going over to do their show. Or you would see Kimmer, or you would see Jure just doing his thing.
Just parading through.
Did you not feel like you were a hostage on that show?
There was a little bit of concern with that. I'll tell you, Burt always treated me nice, but there were some folks in there that were white knuckling it.
You better do what you're told to. Or else Burt's gonna rule with an iron fist.
Seriously, better laugh when you need to.
Exactly. When I look at you, you better laugh. Damn it! I love that.
Yeah, he's a good dude though. He was. It's seriously always much like Jure. He was always good to me.
Always first class to me.
And listen to the show and. Yeah, but we borrow their voice disguiser every once in a while.
Yeah, to help us out with the Zimmer.
That's right, when the Zimmer shows up. I mean, you watch out.
By the way, this hour,
yes,
back end,
yes.
There's a reason why I didn't play this for you.
I'm so glad.
Like, I sent it to Jure, but I have not sent this to you.
Yes.
So we tried, I tried to execute a last-second prank on the Kimmer show. It didn't go the way I wanted to, but it went well enough, and that's what we'll get into at the bottom of the hour.
I cannot
Last
wait
segment
to hear
of this
it.
hour.
Because Los comes to me yesterday, and he said, hey, look at this. So Jure had printed out a bunch of things that Kimmer was going to talk about, including some of the birthdays, some of the songs when they came out. If you listen to the Kimmer show at all, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, when they come out of breaks, there will be a series, especially when it's like music-oriented. When you hear a certain track coming out of break, that is typically going to be a track that they're going to talk about in music history.
Yeah, it's got something connected.
And so just want to link it in, let you know, today on this date in history, here's what occurred. And I saw all of their paperwork laid out and went, well, what if I played around with this stuff? Now, I'm learning because there's and we'll get into it a little bit later this hour, but there was a handful. I should have done more because I didn't realize how much he bounces around all of his pages.
So it's not like straight in a line.
He has like 12 pages of data, and he will just pick and choose what he wants to do. So even if you write down like on page 1 and you fill it with all sorts of nonsense, more than likely he just skips by it. He goes to page 2. So now I have to kind of figure out what to do and adapt my game
Yeah. At some point, he'll probably bring up that Seal turned 62 today, and he'll play a clip of "Kiss from a Rose." Right? That
would be
from
to
the
play
Batman.
from Batman soundtrack,
Yeah.
Batman 2.
So
Batman whatever, Batman Forever.
Which was it? Okay.
Yeah, that's the Val Kilmer one.
Oh, it was? Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I didn't even realize that. I don't even think I realized Val Kilmer was Batman.
Val Kilmer was Batman. George Clooney was Batman during those days. Michael Keaton was
I remember
Batman.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
I don't even think I realized Val Kilmer was in there, but
Yeah, that was a run where with the 89 Batman release with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, it blew up. They brought it back and did another one. And then at that point, they couldn't let go that they needed another Bruce Wayne, and it just ran through the masses of everyone who got to play Batman.
Goodness gracious! And now that seems to be the blueprint, the way all of them work.
Telling you, had you seen any of the Christopher Nolan ones, then you would know.
Which ones are those?
So that is Batman Begins. That is
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, the only
Those
thing I've
three.
seen is Joker, the original Joker. I guess original.
Well,
Joker.
you've messed up.
With well, I saw the Heath Ledger one, and then I saw the more recent
so you
one
saw the
with
so you saw the Dark Knight.
Was that
with Heath Ledger? That's the second one in that series. So he plays the Joker. That's the second one. Is Batman Begins?
Okay, so I did
Dark
see that.
Knight,
Yeah.
And then Dark Knight Rises is the finish.
So I did see that. So I saw the Heath Ledger one, and then I saw the one that Joaquin Phoenix did, and that one was,
Okay, so that's just Joker.
Yeah, and that one was so dark. I didn't
Very much so.
Yeah, I was even when the second one came out, and I know it was a flop. It didn't do well.
Yeah,
with Lady Gaga in there or whatever. But it was so dark. Even had it been hugely and wildly successful, I don't think I would have watched it. It was just too dark for me.
It's a character study. I watched it one time, and it was the same deal.
Really?
I was like, yeah, this is really dark. It wasn't the kind of thing that would, if it was like the way I look at stuff. Like right now, I'm on a run. Think about this, Jure. Every single time that Blade is on TV right now, I'm watching it.
With Wesley Snipes?
Yes. Okay. Blade 1, Blade 2, Blade 3. You know why? Turn my brain off.
Yeah.
Watch Blade.
Okay.
We're in a good place.
Okay.
You can't turn your brain off and watch Joker.
No, your brain just...
It's a psychological
Dude, and it's almost
mess
like...
with you.
It has like an art film kind of feel to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's very artsy-fartsy at the same time.
Yeah, it's very dark. And again, it's a dark character study.
Yeah, dude.
Whereas Blade, that is a half man, half vampire
vampires.
killing vampires.
Yeah.
Get your popcorn.
That's right. Blade Trinity, watching that tonight probably.
Yeah.
Seen it 10 times.
What was the movie we watched over the weekend? It was Love and Other Drugs. We watched that Sunday night, and it's completely in a different direction.
Sounds too important for me.
Yeah, no.
I'm watching Blade.
But you talk about getting out the popcorn. That's the last time we just didn't have anything to do.
For those of you who think, hey, that guy seems like he's really with it, and he pays attention to a lot of things, and and he brings up good topics, and he's at home in his underwear watching Blade.
That's the peek behind.
You see, he has a sword, everyone.
That's the peek behind the curtain, as in The Wizard of Oz. So Vladimir Zelensky, he said, I am not going to accept anything that is done that I'm not present for. And the European leaders, they're all, they're mad that they're not involved in the peace deals, the peace talks that are going on in Saudi Arabia that are being led by Marco Rubio. And I think it's kind of funny, to be honest, because Europe has been so hands-off with the war in Ukraine, though it's in their backyard. They've been minimally involved in everything, including money, including boots on the ground. And the joke is, and I've brought it up 1,000 times, that in the initial, when everybody started pooling their money together, Europe and the United States, when it very first began, like 3 years ago, the Germans sent 5,000 used helmets. That was their commitment to this war that was in their backyard. And they wonder why nobody's asking them to be involved.
I would hope that they're like World War I era with a little spike on top. Like, look, we sent you a spiked helmet.
That's right.
Here's 5,000 of them. It's interesting to watch Europe and also Vladimir Zelensky going down this road of, well, why are you not including us in all of these talks? It's like, well,
it's unnecessary.
Because you're completely propped up. Take a listen. This is Donald Trump, and he's going to talk about how mad Ukraine and Zelensky are about basically being left out of this process.
Do you have any message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think I'm really disappointed in what's happened. I've been watching this for 3 years. It's a war that would have never happened if I was president. And I've been watching these people being killed at levels that you've rarely seen, not even close, since the Second World War. And I'm very disappointed. I hear that, they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years and a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily. Just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago without the loss of much land, very little land, without the loss of any lives, and without the loss of cities that are just laying on their sides. You have those magnificent golden domes that are shattered, will never be replaced. You can't replace them. 1,000-year-old domes that are so beautiful, you can't replace that. A whole civilization has changed because of what. So when they're worried about not being seated, you mean somebody that should have gone in and made a deal a long time ago.
So he makes a point there, and I just want to bring this up as a point of reference. So we had basically 12 years worth of ongoing warfare, involvement in Southeast Asia, namely Vietnam, and that was 50,000 American lives. If we think about the 20-year war in Afghanistan, it's a little bit under 2,500 American lives. You have 100,000 Ukrainians dead in the span of 3 years. You have 100,000 Russians dead in the span of 3 years. When he talks about this being a meat grinder, unlike anything we've seen since World War II, that's not hyperbole.
No, that's real.
That's real. And like this needs to end.
And the Ukrainians are going to take whatever deal they can get because they have no other choice. Vladimir Zelensky's already said, if it wasn't for the United States, we wouldn't exist. So we've propped them up, like you said. We've propped them up the entire time. We've done everything that we possibly could. And for anybody to say, well, you're not doing enough, they're disappointed because you're pulling back. We're pulling back because we're trying to save your lives. You're going to continue to be an entire generation lost if we don't.
And then you have the rest of Europe that somehow, who has not contributed to this fight in the way that we have, then they're all pushing their chest out. Hold on a second. What do you mean we don't have a seat at the table? We don't have get a chance to determine this. Take a listen to how Donald Trump issues this when it comes to Europe.
And I think I have the power to end this war. And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And
because the deal on the table that is being discussed is a modified deal that has been on the table since 2014 and has been on the table for the last 3 years. The Biden administration chose and they flat out told the Ukrainians, according to reports, you're not taking this deal. And so you had a slaughter.
And it will continue.
If you continue to let this happen.
And you got, Keir Starmer. He said, we're going to send peacekeepers. We're ready to put boots on the ground to protect peace all of a sudden. You're telling me the British Prime Minister, that just came to him?
Just suddenly happened? Hey, wait a minute. There seems to be a slaughter on both sides. We might need peace.
What? I mean, I just don't understand the mentality of these people. Because now you have the man that runs the NATO organization saying, yes, we're going to beef up. Every country is going to start beefing up their military assets. They've been cutting them since Trump was in office the first time and demanded that they go to like 2.5% of their GDP with their militaries. Since he was out of office, they've backslid, and it's all been going to like public, like safety nets. And now, all of a sudden, he's going, we need to boost our military spending. Yeah, you think?
You ever been to an estate sale? It's a little creepy. Typically, somebody's passed, and suddenly they're liquidating all their assets.
Do that stuff, man.
I agree. It's a little weird. I've only been to a couple. It was when I was a kid. It feels like Ukraine has become an estate sale, but Europe wasn't invited.
Yeah.
They're like, hold on a second. We need in on this sort of stuff. Like they're knocking down the door to try and get into the estate sale, and we're like, no, you didn't have enough to do with this to start with.
Yeah, let's move on. It's like cousin Curtis showing up, being like, "Hey, I wanted that lamp." No, you don't get the lamp. I'm sorry.
Wanted that lamp.
You can't get Grandma's lamp. You're out. You didn't participate up until this point.
You didn't help take care of her at the end.
Exactly
you
right.
You don't get the lamp.
You don't deserve the lamp.
Write that down, Jeray. That's the whole goal. You're taking care of your grandparents at the end so you can get the lamps.
It's an important lamp. It's probably one that you remember. It's seared in your mind. I can remember. Is it crazy that I can remember all that stuff? I can remember exactly where they sit in my grandparents' house. Not that I got any of the lamps or anything, but I remember.
That's why he's bitter.
Not completely.
My family, it's the old popcorn bowls, the old ones, the plastic ones from the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
See,
still holding on to them.
There you go. You wouldn't have got that. If you're in Europe right now, you wouldn't got the popcorn bowls.
I'm going to tell you a story about an urn later.
Oh. I'm not sure I'm looking forward to that.
You'll like it.
Okay, I take it all back then. NBC's Joe Scarborough made a out-of-the-ordinary observation about spending and America's debt. We'll talk about that, as well as hit your headlines next on the Morning Extra.
Look out, it's a Kimber. We've got your afternoons covered, all right, and the Morning Extra's got your drive-in from 6 to 10 a.m., too.
The CBS polling, and you know they hated putting this poll out. I'm surprised they did.
These numbers are not good.
Not for us, anyway.
Let's let the country know.
Donald Trump is delivering on the promises he has made. 70% approval.
The Morning Extra, 6 to 10 a.m. on Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Are you rubbing your hands together, waiting on that tax refund to roll in? Why not invest in your home instead of wasting it on a new cell phone or, I don't know, whatever that people waste their tax refunds on? Do something that is going to benefit you in the long run. Make an investment in your home. How do you do that? 25 years, homeowners have been trusting Southern Exteriors. Over 200,000 projects completed across 6 states. They're based in Jackson, Georgia, but they service the Southeast, and they're local enough and small enough so you get to know the people that actually work there. It's not going to be a different person showing up at your house every day, because I've run into that before and recently. These guys will have a person on site every day making sure the project goes the way it's supposed to. They do windows, doors, roofing, siding, gutters, and they can even build you a deck on the house, maybe around the house. They can screen a deck in if you want a really nice place to entertain this summer. And you can maximize your tax refund with 0% financing for 12 months or 10% off of any project that you choose, no matter how big or how small the project is. Whatever works for you, that's what they want you to do. And this will be an investment in your future because your home is your biggest asset. It will come back to you. That's the important thing. Ask any realtor, they'll tell you. Get a free estimate now, southernexteriors.co. It is southernexteriors.co.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but at A Second Chance Bail Bonds, we believe everyone deserves a second chance. That's the driving force behind everything we do. If you or a loved one has been arrested across town or across the country, you need help now. A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast with bondsmen throughout Atlanta to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? That's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kemmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P-shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
I get a surprising amount of blowback from wonderful listeners who think that I'm a little rough on the media. Okay, I'm listening. Tell me how the press isn't biased.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Wednesday, February 19th. There is a potential for winter weather making its way into the North Georgia mountains this morning. Several North Georgia schools districts have already decided to cancel class and are going virtual as a precautionary measure due to the hazardous conditions. Closed are Calhoun, Walker, White, and Whitfield County schools. Classes will perhaps resume tomorrow. Several streets around the Tech Square in Midtown will be closed off for vehicles and pedestrians starting on Wednesday evening as a Tyler Perry production will be going on in the city. Also on Tuesday, Braves full squad workouts began for spring training. As for game action, that will begin this weekend as they will face off against the Minnesota Twins to open up spring training action. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
I'm so looking forward to Braves baseball. God, I love baseball season. There's just nothing better. I mean, it's a toss-up. For me, college football and Major League Baseball season, and college baseball season, it's just baseball in general, is some of my favorite things to sit down and watch and to go to games. And being here at the Battery Atlanta, it's like going to Disney World a little bit every day. You know, there's a stadium right there. I remember being a kid growing up in Dalton, Georgia, only went to like 2, maybe 3 Braves games my entire life. And you would drive down and you would see the stadium, and it was like, you know, something out of a book. It was something you just didn't see every day.
So there's been construction all around the Battery in the last several weeks, and they've done these little enhancements that you might notice when you come down here. For instance, have you walked out of the building and gone to the right lately? What they now have is like a bar top.
Oh, I did see that because when I drive in, I come that way.
So now when you are, because this whole campus, all 21 acres is open carry. No matter where you buy your drink from, anything you want, you can walk around. As long as you're on campus, it's totally fine. You can walk in and out of any restaurant with any alcoholic beverage. They now have created these random bar tops all around this place. So if you just decide, hey, I just want to park my booty right here and just sit here at this little bar top.
And enjoy the beautiful weather.
And just hang out.
The atmosphere.
There's now places to now do that. It's really cool what they've installed around here.
Dude, the Braves have figured it out. They've cracked the code of an incredible time and an incredible experience for fans to come to the ballpark and see their favorite team, but enjoy the time before it and after it. I mean, that's what we always talked about. For as long as I can remember, when Turner Field was a thing, where the Braves played, it was like, yeah, but you drive down there 5 minutes before the game, you run in, and then drive, and as soon as the game's over, you sprint out. Like, we'd like to give people an experience to be able to come hang before the game, and then after the game's over, wait till the traffic clears out a little bit, hang out.
Well, they ruined my moneymaker.
What was that?
So you know that they overhauled all the restrooms on campus.
Yes, right. Which needed to be done.
That used to be my moneymaker. So if you were across the street at, let's say, Sports and Social, and the line was 20 deep, I'd be like, for $20, I'll take you across the street. I'll buzz you in. You can go use the restroom. Or when I was walking around, I'm like, for $10, I'll take you into my building.
Yeah.
I'll buzz you in,
Yeah.
and you can go use the restroom downstairs. And that was good for like $1,000 every like playoff.
Oh, I think it'll still work because they're just remodeling and they're making it slightly bigger, but it's just a remodel. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't know where that is, or the line at Sport and Social is out the door.
Out the door.
You still have a moneymaker. Don't you worry about that.
I just want to make sure, because I would just tell people $10 and I'll take you across the street to my building. And we're talking like people would hand it over. Because nobody wants to wet themselves.
No, they don't. And
there's children.
Right. And then it's just natural until they get a little older, and then they're taught not to, and then they quit.
You just look for grown men doing the pee-pee dance, and you're like that's an easy $10.
I can make some money
that
right
might even
there.
be 20. You don't know how desperate they are.
That's exactly right. So you're in the good. You're in the clear. You're still
Just
making.
want to make sure.
And
my
it's
moneymaker's
amazing,
good.
dude, how generous people will be with their or not generous.
Desperate,
frivolous. When they say, "I can't wait that long. I'm literally going to wet myself."
I mean, let's face it. We've all been to the point where we're
Absolutely.
like, I'll pay somebody $10 if I can go use the
100%.
restroom right now.
And especially for ladies, dudes will cough up $50 for the ladies to be able. And the difference is, there's not a line, and it's not been used all day. The ones in the building are,
they're clean, they're
exactly,
nice,
private,
and you look like you're big time when all you do is like. And you walk right in the building, and you're like, and here's the pristine restroom.
It's rock star status is what it is.
It validates the $20.
That's exactly right. They're like, wow.
Welcome to the executive lab.
Exactly. Chair Payne. That's right.
It wasn't like I brought you to like some porta potty off campus. Like, no, I gave you access to the beautiful restroom.
I messed that up. Jure. Sorry about that. I'll get it.
That's going to stick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jerry Payne.
Yes, I will.
Jure.
All of a sudden, like you're talking about people spending money just frivolously, like our federal government has for, 20, 30 years or so. All of a sudden, a surprising person in the media is concerned about money being spent. All of a sudden cares about the national debt and Biden's economy that was turned over to Donald Trump getting close to a month ago now. Listen to Joe Scarborough from MSNBC, of all people.
We talked about the $36 trillion fiscal bubble. When that explodes, we ain't going to fix that in a year or two, like inflation. When that $36 trillion debt bomb goes off, we're all in trouble. The world economy's in trouble. Then you have the crypto bubble. It's madness. If you listen to what people are saying about crypto right now, go back and watch The Big Short, and you'll go, oh, my God, these are parallel universes that we're going through. And then finally, there's the bubble on Wall Street. A lot of people very concerned. And usually when you have people like Warren Buffett go into cash, there's a reason. A lot of bubbles there. This is an economy, as we've been saying for some time, you've got to handle with care, or else some very bad things can happen very quickly. And apparently some people on Wall Street starting to get concerned about that.
And I'm surprised that Joe Scarborough is concerned about it all of a sudden. For 4 years, it never got brought up on his show, Morning Joe. They talked about all kinds of things. Mainly Trump's Hitler. That was particular. The particular
Mainly
discussion.
every day at 7:45.
That's right. And 6:45 and 5:45.
Trump,
and then at
Hitler.
8:45. I mean, every segment mentioned Trump in some way, and typically with that branding that Trump is Hitler. So interesting that right now he's concerned with the debt. Seems like he'd be more supportive of Doge if that was the case, that he's truly concerned with how much we're in debt and how much needs to be corrected, because Joe Biden, not only did he kick open the doors to the country and just say, anybody, y'all come on in, and that was organized, it was planned. We now know that. He didn't need any sort of new laws or new authorities as the president to close the border down. Donald Trump has shown you that. And then Donald Trump is doing something that no one has ever done. They've all talked about it, but they've never done it. And that is start to cut the fraud, waste, and abuse. Joe Scarborough, I've not heard him talk about Doge in a positive way. I've seen him talk about now the spending, but it seems like that fraud, waste, and abuse would be top of the list. Let's get rid of that first and then figure out what we actually need to spend.
I believe that Joe Scarborough is doing the intelligent thing, which is this is popular. Yeah, he's got the finger up into the wind going, here's the way the wind is blowing. There was a release yesterday. Charlie Kirk had it, and a couple other people did as well, where as far as the amount of savings that Doge has made for the American people in this short amount of time, it's actually going up faster than the national debt. That's encouraging.
I've not seen this.
Yes.
So like
the Doge clock is ahead of the national debt right now. So, again, you have this look on your face of like, that's awesome. That is why, and we'll get into it a little bit later, they're talking about a Doge dividend. It's how do you end up isolating power, and how do you end up showing the American people you've done the right thing? Send them their money back. Send them the money that has been taken from them. And so, again, we're not looking at this and saying, I'm looking to add on to the debt. Oh, if you have these tax cuts, it'll add on to the debt. No, looking to give you your money back based on all the fraud that's been going on for decades with this thing.
And it's interesting that here in Georgia, though there's plenty of things that I disagree with Brian Kemp on, but that was the smartest thing he ever did. He's like, we have a surplus.
Send your money back.
We're going to send you. And what did that do? It got him reelected.
Without a problem by like 6 points.
That's exactly
6-8 points.
And when he goes to run for Senate in 2026, he's going to be able to say the same thing. When I go to D.C., I'm going to fall right in line with cutting and reducing and refunding money that we don't need in Washington, D.C., just like I did as governor of Georgia. He has got the best marketing campaign because of what he actually did in the state of Georgia. What is John Ossoff going to say? He's not going to be able to say anything. He's not going to have that in his back pocket.
I sent you your money back. I did not send you your money back.
I did nothing. What? Give me one. Can you think of anything that Warnock or Ossoff has been a part of that has been positive? Because I can't.
No, and this is the fortunate aspect from being in a purple area. Neither one of them has been able to be, outside of when Warnock was really pushing for Kamala Harris, they're not really able to be hardcore liberals in the state of Georgia.
Even though they both are.
Right. They're not able to play that game. They can't ever play the, hey, I'm a California liberal, here's what I believe in, and I'm going this hard in the paint. Because you're going to be voted out pretty quickly. And Ossoff will be the first one. Ossoff will look back and will say, what did he contribute? Won an election that felt like it was cheated?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And now, look, Democrats won't be
We changed
happy.
our laws after this?
Yeah, exactly. To make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Just to make sure we clean it up.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To make sure it doesn't happen fraudulently again. Now, there's still plenty of things that need to be cleaned up. And if you listen to the show with any sort of consistency, you know where we stand on that. Flu cases are up. Our own Captain Joe Virgin River has the flu. But here's the problem, Los. It all comes back to the vaccine.
So I was reading a little bit about this, and let's be honest. I will always say that period of time when there was $1 billion ad campaign that told me I needed to do this or I was a bad person, I said, I choose bad.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And part of it was there were aspects of immune suppression that were related to the mRNA shots, that they were a gene therapy, not a true vaccine, a gene therapy, and that there were issues that were going on with immune suppression. It is wild that we're now seeing, and this information has now been quietly, just swept under the rug. When you see this outbreak of the flu, we can always point out, all right, the flu shot did not work. Well, the flu shot typically doesn't work on a regular basis. Now you have a country of immune suppressed people. And so one after another, by the way, Joe didn't take the shot either. It's just, let's face it.
Yeah,
he just got the actual stuff and
it happens.
And it's what happens. But when you look at the spread, how many people do you know that have actually had the flu now and have basically said, this is the worst flu I've had in years?
Every person that's told me that they have the flu has told me that.
They're like, it's the worst flu
awful.
I've had in years.
That's right.
And some of them have a suppressed immune system based on what they did several years ago.
I'm guessing a lot of them do. You got to be careful, man. You got to be careful. Don't listen to what the mainstream media tells you. When they tell you you're being bad, you should probably question that. When they tell you, well, you must do this, you have to do this, it's mandated that you do this. Well,
if
it's
you
so
don't do
good,
it, you're a bad person.
My thought process was, if it's something that needs to be done so, it's so important that you do this. Show me the facts behind it and let me make a good decision. If you're making me do it, if it's mandated, there's a reason that you're making me do it.
I think you're referring to informed consent.
That might be it. That might be it right there, Front Office Los. When we continue on Extra 106.3. Los set a trap for Kimmer yesterday, but the old Marine was too cunning. Next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
The first 100 days of President Trump's second term will move fast. And with changes coming down every day, count on Atlanta's conservative voice to bring you the latest updates without the mainstream spin. The Morning Extra, Glenn Beck, Clay and Buck, and The Kimmer Show. Our huge lineup has you covered from your drive in to your drive home. Proud to be the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and streaming across Georgia on the Extra app.
Good morning, it's your hero, Los. It's time to talk about Echo, and where do you get that Echo? You get it over at Howard Brothers. Have you started thinking of spring? All right, I know it's a little bit chilly. We got another cold spell rolling through, but spring is right around the corner. Well, now's the time to start planning what you're going to do for the upcoming season, whether you're a private homeowner like myself or maybe you own a fleet. Maybe you're a lawnscaping professional. That's where you need to look into that Echo power equipment. Chances are on that truck, you already have Echo power equipment. Reliable, professional, tough. Echo keeps you going all year round, no matter the project. When's the best time to get an Echo tool? Well, that's during the Gear Up sale. We are now coming ever so closer to it. March 5th. Mark it on your calendar. March 5th. It's the day to get geared up for the spring over at every single Howard Brothers location. Plan your spring the right way with Echo Tools from Howard Brothers.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Georgia is home to over 600,000 veterans who play an important role in strengthening our communities. The Warrior Alliance is recognizing these contributions at the 4th Annual Veteran Impact Awards and Gala on Thursday, May 22nd at the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater at the Battery, Atlanta. You may participate by nominating a Georgia veteran for their exceptional service after military service in categories such as first responder, healthcare, education, military spouse, and more. Go to thewarrioralliance.org today and submit your veteran nomination.
Are you concerned about securing your family's future and assets? Look no further than Nelson Elder Care Law. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we offer absolute assurance and peace of mind through our comprehensive asset protection services. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com to explore how we can safeguard your legacy and provide tailored solutions for your family's well-being.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. With daily commentary you'll hear throughout the day. And he's on live with the Morning Extra every Tuesday morning at 7:30. Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3. And catch all of Neil's commentary on the Extra app.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
So that's how my Friday ended.
That's right. The stories behind the scenes.
You want that one? You want that one on the air?
No, I think we're probably.
I told our programming director
abort
down the hall as we finished up our radiothon for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Again, another great fundraiser. This company has now raised over $2 million.
Incredible work.
For that cancer research over the years. We've now had 24 of these radiothons. And so as I finished it up on Friday, our programming director, Andy, down the hall, comes over and he's like, hey, you did a good job. I was like, oh, thank you. He's like, I appreciate your work over the last 2 days. I was like, oh, well, hey, whenever you need me. I was like, if I'm available,
I'm here, man.
I'm here for it. And he goes, well, just so you know, I am going to call on other people. And I looked him dead in the eye and I just go, well, that's fine. It just won't be as good.
Easy. It's easy.
I mean,
I love it.
I'm sorry. The person that built the Chuck and Chernoff show probably knows how to execute it pretty well.
Something tells me you have a good grasp on it.
I've only had top 3, top 5 rated shows in 2 different markets in 20 years.
Yeah.
I think I know what I'm doing.
I got this thing figured out. Got it in a toe hold.
but you're going to call so-and-so from ESPN who brought 3 topics to the air.
Good enough. All right. Have it.
I'm sorry. I'm a little egotistical about this one.
That's all right, man.
But that's why I'm your superhero.
That's right. Absolutely. We call him Captain Front Office Los.
It's the Oracle of Atlanta. I'm here to tell you what's coming up next.
That's right. Be ready. Be ready. Going to lay it out on a silver platter for you. And so many of those things have come true. And we take a lot of pride in the fact that all the things that we were told we were conspiracy theorists about actually have turned out to be true. So everybody that told us we were wrong, oh, wait a minute. No, we weren't.
But I failed yesterday. I failed you.
No, you didn't.
I failed Jure.
I love the attempt because it would have never crossed my mind. You and I think a lot alike, but then we think we're different in ways. And Lowe's comes up to me, and Jure had printed out a bunch of sheets that Kimmer will use in the afternoon, and it has this date in history that he does, and when he comes back,
all
breaks,
the notes,
yes,
all the interesting notes that he does on the show.
He'll hit this today. Today is the anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima. He will talk about it today.
An important date in history,
without doubt,
a wildly important date in history. So all the paperwork ends up being dropped in front of me because yesterday, poor JoJo Virgin River, who was sick, because Flounder is still on his honeymoon. He's enjoying his time with his new bride. So JoJo was subbing in. Well, with JoJo being sick, what he did is he organized all the notes, all the Today in History, all the music notes, all the birthdays, and he just left it on the table. He was like, hey, can you put this right here where Kimmer sits so when he gets here, he'll have it.
He'll have it. Because Kimmer's very meticulous, and he's very...
he's structured. He's ready to go.
Structured is the great word.
Again, you might hear elements of that show where you're like, oh, they're flying by the seat of their pants. But the foundation is set in stone. They are ready to go. They know what they're going to do. That's why he's able to do that stuff.
And if things get off and he doesn't have the things that he wants to prepare in front of him when he's here and ready to roll, it throws him off. It throws him a curveball.
So far be it from me to prank anyone.
Yeah, because you never do that.
I don't do any of that stuff. I've never altered their show open. Or made...
or created Drunk Kimmer.
Or Drunk Kimmer.
Or the secret agent, the Zimmer.
Or fake promos of Kimmer. Again, this is all done out of love, by the way.
Right.
Like I can't
and respect.
Yes, I can't wait to play golf with that man again. We're going to have to figure out a time. In fact, I've got to reach out to Kimmer. We have a fundraiser for North Forsyth Volleyball, and my wife and we ended up organizing a team. I need to see if anybody else wants to join in a team. I think we have spots 2 more teams.
Okay.
So if you're interested, hey, reach out at Front Office Los on Twitter. We
or
can make this happen.
404-741-1230.
Just let us know. It's like $600 a team, tax deductible, whatever. Let's play some golf together.
Love it.
So with all that being said, I see the paperwork in front of me, and I start seeing the birthdays, and a couple of them, and I didn't know how the Kimmer show works in terms of, I thought he would just read every single one down the line. I mean, Jure knows this from working with the show. Does he not bounce around on the sheet?
Oh,
Yeah, it's the name he recognizes. Does he have a story? And he bounces around.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know that. I thought
I didn't either. I thought he went right down the line.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Because
longtime Kimmer fans might remember me as Quarter Pounder. I ran his board. Yeah, that's another story. We won't go into that right now.
That's almost as good as Dre.
Well, like, for instance, the very first name on the top of his sheet was a 27-year-old actress. And I knew a couple of the films. I'd never seen them. And so when I saw the paperwork, I was like, I think they printed off on the back computer. So I went over to the back computer, and sure enough, here's where the paperwork
they were
was.
still up and ready to roll.
So I wrote in that she was part of the Vagina Monologues, and I'm typing all this stuff. There was a note about how Dr. Dre turned 60, and I wrote about his cameo in Big Mama's House 3. Now, he was not in Big Mama's House 3. In fact, I'm not even sure there's a Big Mama's House 3.
I'm sure there is.
But this is what I was writing. I was putting things on the sheet to see if Kimmer would say them. And I spent all show yesterday. I started at 3 o'clock. I then had to jump over to our sister station and do my segment at 3:30. I jumped right back over to the Kimmer show, and I'm just sitting there listening and waiting. I'm like, tell me he's going to do a birthday. Tell me he's going to step in one of these things that I put on his sheet. And it took until about 4:35 in the afternoon.
From him to even get to them?
When he finally decided to work one in. I want you to take a listen to this audio. This is why I say I'm disappointed, because it didn't work the way I wanted it to. But listen to Kimmer, listen to Pete, listen to the note that was included on their sheet.
1972, their first Australian tour, Led Zeppelin had to reschedule a night because heavy rain in Adelaide left the stage and equipment unsafe. And the reason it was unsafe because Led Zeppelin had brought to Adelaide the largest PA system ever seen to produce the loudest rock show ever heard. so they were asking for it. And they had to reschedule because there was just too much going on. Anyway, Led Zeppelin. Okay. Our birthday list includes the naughty little Molly Ringwald, a little naughty little redhead from Sweet 16 or 16 Candles, and a couple of those Brat Pack movies. The one what was the one where they were in the classroom? Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles, and Molly Ringwald is 57. Now it's 57. It says here she once ran over a homeless person with her car in order to win a bet. I don't know that story.
Can't be true.
I do not know that story.
I think you made that up.
I don't know where our Flounder's off today is our musical historian or musical editor.
Caught him vulnerable.
She ran over a homeless man to win a bet. And I remember that was one of the ones you showed me.
I showed you. I go, I want to see if he'll read this. An hour and a half into the show, I finally hear him say, Molly Ringwald, a redhead or whatever, she's 57. And as he starts reading it, if we can re-rack it to that point, Jeray, if you'll get it just to that point, I want you to get a chance to listen to Pete. Because as he says
that can't be true.
Pete just starts laughing about how random it is that the note that they have for today in history birthdays is that she happened to run over a homeless person in order to win a bet. Whenever you're ready, just let us go ahead and know.
1972, their first Australian tour, Led Zeppelin had to
Just fast forward it just a little bit. It didn't have to be perfect. Just fast forward a little bit.
Give me a second here.
She read over. And did he? Is that the only one that? Because
that was the only one he read.
Yeah,
I went through the entirety of the show to get to that point. And again, like it's 4:35 in the afternoon.
In order to win a bet.
There was.
I don't know that.
Here we go. Go ahead. Play.
Redhead from Sweet 16 or 16 Candles, and a couple of those Brat Pack movies. The one what was the one where they were in the classroom? Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles.
Says here,
Molly Ringwald is 57. Now it's 57. It says here she once ran over a homeless person with her car in order to win a bet. I don't know that story. I do not know that story.
Pete starts laughing because he's like, there's no way that's true.
So good. At least we got one.
We got one.
And it was a really good one.
And I'm telling you, I wrote like 10 or 12 in there of just landmines. And he only read the one.
Do you still have them?
It's on the back computer.
Oh my gosh.
I tried to delete all the evidence. Like I reached out to you
because I went in there and closed it.
And I was like, hey, I opened up the file. I think it'll be obvious that they see that I edited it. So will you close the file?
We're going to try to find some of the others that
I'll go look during
see if we can figure out the ones that Kimmer didn't get to that we had hoped he would. Next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. And then finally, something even Democrats will like about the new dose savings. Next on Extra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Government schools. You know I'm not a fan of what they call public schools. First of all, they're not public schools, they're government schools. They are owned and operated by the government on government land in government facilities, following government guidelines and rules. Government schools. Now in Florida, years ago, and this happened while I was still on the air, so that's going to make it maybe 15 years ago, they were grading all of the government schools. They would get a grade anywhere from A to F based upon how well the Rugrats were learning, their reading capabilities, their mathematics capabilities. And if a school got an F, the students in that school were eligible for transfers and state money to get into private schools. So one year, a school in Osceola County, no surprise, got an F. The parents were outraged. The teachers were outraged. We failed? No, we can't fail. We're union teachers. We do all of this perfectly. So how did these union teachers handle that failing grade after the summer was over and the students were returning to school? Students whose parents couldn't get them a transfer to another school somewhere, parents whose students didn't have the wherewithal to put them in a private school, even with state help. How are we going to handle this? So when the kids showed up for the next year at this Osceola County school, the teachers were all wearing T-shirts that said F, a big F on the T-shirts. But underneath the F, it said something else. The T-shirt said F is for fantastic. They took failing schools and turned them into fantastic schools. What a way to con the parents and especially the students. Let's get rid of government schools. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
The Atlanta Braves giveaways for this season are here, and you don't want to miss this lineup. Bobbleheads feature Chris Sale and Marcell Ozuna, presented by Delta, and a throwback bobblehead featuring Chipper Jones from the 2000 All-Star Game, presented by SeatGeek. Fans can also look forward to collectibles like the 1995 World Series replica ring and red home jersey giveaways presented by Coke, and a replica of Truist Park, perfect for your office. Visit Braves.com/promos to purchase your tickets today.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station. Extra 106.3 FM. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta. A Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
More federal workers are going to be let go. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As Elon Musk, through the Department of Government Efficiency, keeps going through federal agencies, he tells Fox's Hannity Doge is doing what President Trump was elected to do.
The overall goal is to try to get $1 trillion out of the deficit. And if the deficit is not brought under control, America will go bankrupt.
A federal judge denied an attempt by Democrats trying to block Doge's access to government data.
The Washington Post reporting Defense Department firings are expected to start soon. Pentagon agencies were told to submit lists of probationary employees after members of Elon Musk's Doge team arrive. And with a budget of around $850 billion a year, there's plenty to cut, guys, including costly weapon systems the Pentagon doesn't want but forced on them by lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. And more firings are looming at the Justice Department. President Trump posted on Truth Social he's ordering all Biden-era U.S. attorneys be terminated to restore fairness, he says, writing the agency had been politicized like never before. Speaking of the Justice Department, a federal judge asked questions for the DOJ at a hearing today to explain why a bribery and corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams was ordered dropped as the mayor cooperates with federal illegal immigration raids. Now, the mayor denies those two are linked, but some prosecutors and Adams' deputies have resigned in protest, and New York Governor Kathy Hochul is considering removing the mayor from office. City Council member Robert Holden tells Fox it's just politics.
He wants to cooperate with the President of the United States, Donald Trump. That's what the Democrats don't like. And I'm a Democrat, but I see it plain as day here.
The day after being left out of U.S. and Russia talks, Ukraine's president is meeting today with a special American envoy. And Volodymyr Zelensky says,
"You don't want boots on the ground. You don't want NATO, okay."
Instead, Zelensky says Ukraine must have U.S. security guarantees to keep Russia at bay if there is a peace agreement ending the war. Zelensky also said President Trump's living in a Russian disinformation space after blaming Ukraine for the invasion. America's listening to Fox News.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
No need for traffic updates. We always steer you right. It's the Morning Extra on 106.3.
I have not been able to stop laughing for the last 8 minutes. So much so that we took it to our operations manager, Scott McFarland, and played it for him, and he laughed very hard. And then it turned into just uncontrolled laughter in the studio for the last 8 or so minutes.
And poor Scotty Mack, our operations manager, he's not feeling well.
He's under the weather to begin with.
So as soon as he heard it, he just starts laughing. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you can tell. You can hear the crud.
Kimmer said that with Molly Ringwald? Do you want the whole sheet? Because I do have it in front of me.
Yes. So let's set it back up. So Lowe's had this brilliant, devious idea yesterday. As we've talked about many times on the show, Kimmer
the devious person when it comes to this stuff.
He's very detailed and he's very structured in his preparation for his show.
And his great protector, Flounder, is not here.
He's like, it's his Achilles heel is exposed right now.
Right. He is out there out in the open. He's like a wound. Because, Flounder's enjoying getting married over the weekend and spending some time away.
But he relies on the very trustworthy Captain Joe Virgin River. And Joe has filled in on his show so many times that Kimmer is now comfortable with him. Problem was, Joe's very sick.
Right. And
much like Scotty Mack.
So that made it very easy
to infiltrate.
Because Joe worked on, he laid out the whole show. He had everything ready for Kimmer. Today in history, music history, entertainment history, birthdays. Joe Joe is a great protector of this entire radio station because he works on both shows. He works on both live shows, and so he tries to take care of them. When he showed me the information, he was like, hey, and he was so sick. He's like, can you put this on the table for Kimmer when he gets here?
Under his keyboard.
I was like, yeah, not a problem. And I look at it and I go, what if I edited this? And so it was on his birthdays page, and I'll get into more of these, but if you take a listen, this is when he read Molly Ringwald's birthday yesterday.
Molly Ringwald is 57. Now it's, 57. It says here she once ran over a homeless person with her car in order to win a bet. I don't know that story.
Can't be true.
I do not know that story.
I think you made that up.
So the other ones I had, there was Melise Zhao is 34, actress who sings under the name Melise. She was Linda Park on The Flash, the Shannara Chronicles, and I put in Anna on the Vagina Monologues.
Right.
Maria Walsh, another actress, 37. She was in The Last Ship, The Starving Games, Mama's Boy, and Big Mama's House 2. The one I really wanted him to read was Alexandra Monstranardi, 39. She plays the Italian beauty Francesca on Asia Azari's Netflix comedy Master of Butter. I wanted him to say Master of Butter. Jillian Michaels is 51, Biggest Loser trainer. Now, this actually said this in here.
Okay.
She enjoys female companionship.
That was real.
That was put in there. I then included, ironically, she enjoys the company of larger women. Chubby chaser. I tried.
That's the one that I think would have been the funniest.
I tried. Regina Spektor, 45, biggest hit, Fidelity. Yeah. I also wrote, killed a widow woman for inheritance.
See, that would have been perfect for Kim because he would have read right across that and it would not have challenged it whatsoever. Had he gotten to them, I wonder. See, I'd love to know if he saw them and realized it afterwards and he didn't go any further. Like, did he was like, oh, I caught myself. I know what has happened.
He didn't do the Dr. Dre one. Dr. Dre is 60, and I added the note. Has sold over 16 million albums, which he hit that point, and then he stopped.
Got it.
The rest of it said, and did a cameo in the movie Big Mama's House 3. But he didn't jump into that. Yeah, he only went the 16 million albums. That, and again, it's verified. More than that, but verified his own stuff.
Yeah.
16 million as a producer. It's hundreds of millions at this point.
My goal is to either, by the end of the show, get a hold of Kimmer and have him walk us through that scenario, that piece of audio that we played for you, that moment in his show, or Pete, if we can get Pete on to talk about his awkward laugh when Kimmer...
Oh, wasn't awkward. He thought it was funny. He was like, you ran over a homeless person to win a bet?
He immediately realizes the ill of what he has done and says, that can't be true. That can't be true.
I just love that Pete is in such... Because him and I both really like What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Like, him and I have talked about that as a comedy on FX, and now you can check it out on Hulu. I know Pete has dark comedy humor.
Right.
And so that's where when I heard him laugh, I was like, yes, got him.
Got him. I love it. The best news you're going to hear today, aside from the prank that we got over on Kimmer.
We barely got him. It was not well executed, but we're able to celebrate a little bit.
Dude, I gotta tell you, man, I think that's a win.
I was hoping he would do it the entirety of his show, but we just one time.
It's almost like sometimes less is more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, we hit it out of the park on that one. We didn't need to go back to the well.
Yeah, I had high hopes.
Yeah.
And I feel like for that one moment, that 90 seconds was awesome.
It was. And
mission accomplished.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you. Jeray, we appreciate you, buddy. And welcome to the show. For people who are hearing this new voice, Jeray is going to be our new board op producer as Joe Virgin River.
His name is actually Jerry Ray.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. As far as a middle name, or Jerry Payne.
When you're from the country,
Jeray.
Jeray runs together. Because, man, it's just the way country folks talk.
And he's also a fake Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, so because he does look similar. Very, very similar.
And back in the day, you might have known him as Stoner Jerry. He's been at this a while.
Man, you didn't have to let that one out.
Well, you had extremely long hair at the time when you first started in radio.
I did. Eddie Vedder would have been jealous.
You did. You look like you're
Scott Stapp.
You look like you got dropped out of a 90s video from Seattle.
Well, I thought I was, too.
There it is.
He was like, I just wanted to be on the cast of Singles. If I could have been in that movie.
Exactly. You do. You look like the cast of Singles. You look like if the real world, Seattle, had like occurred in 1993, they'd been like, let's get Jure to be right from here. He's a Seattle guy.
That's exactly right.
I got back from the Air Force. I said, I'm never cutting my hair again.
There it is.
That's funny. So good. But just as good is what's going to happen with the savings. Because Los shared with you earlier that there is a savings clock of Doge accomplishments that is moving faster than even the debt clock in the United States of America. And we've all seen the debt clock for how long now? For 30 years at least. For the majority of my adult life, we've seen that debt clock. And it runs as fast as it possibly can. And it shows you the deficit of like $2 trillion. The Doge clock is actually outperforming it.
Now, they're both going up. But at least as of now, and I've got actually the clock in front because there's just a quick graphic of it. You'll see that the Doge clock, as of right now, is moving faster than the U.S. federal budget deficit for the year, which is going to be $2 trillion. The Doge clock is at $109 billion, and at least it's going up. So it's eating into this thing.
So appealing.
It's very appealing to see that this can actually happen. Now, you had a handful of people that reported this as of last night. And this was, probably, 5, 6 o'clock yesterday evening, so it probably won't be on everybody's radar until later today, probably this afternoon, that Elon Musk says that he, and in discussions with President Trump, have talked about a Doge dividend, that it would be a return of money to the taxpayers based on what their savings were. Now, as of now, I'm not saying you're going to get all of this money, but just to give you an idea, right now Doge has saved $700 per taxpayer in this country. $700 per.
Which, like you said, it doesn't sound like an enormous amount of money. But when you multiply it by every single taxpayer, that's an extraordinary amount of money. $700 per person? We've been talking about how our debt is like for each individual taxpayer is like $30,000.
I'll say this. For a family of 4, our typical grocery bill, that's about 3 trips to the grocery store. Or 2 trips to Costco, or when we're just trying to be in a hurry, 5 trips over to Publix. So you're going to give me back, if we're just talking about what the number would be, and it probably is going to end up being more. This is not where we're having to print money like we did during COVID and to send you a check. This is money that is yours, that is just coming back to you in a similar way that Brian Kemp did this in the state of Georgia.
This is so
the
smart.
federal government, the discussion has been giving us back a Doge dividend based on the taxes we've already paid.
And how did they get there? The number of contracts they've canceled? Over 1,100 contracts for crap that was useless and
Silly.
pointless, made no sense for the American people, benefited the American people in no way, shape, form, or fashion. You saw it in subscriptions to Politico magazine that were running into the thousands of dollars. And that doesn't sound like a bunch, but when you add, all that together, it becomes a bunch. And the same way when they were sending money to Ukraine and Uganda and Iran and Iraq and all these, we were supporting Hamas with some of this money.
We were supporting circumcisions in African countries for like $11 million.
Donald Trump even made fun of one yesterday.
You clip your own, man.
Yeah, the doctor will do that when you're born, or that should be when it's handled. But Donald Trump even talked about one that made no sense, and it was to improve voter confidence in a country in Africa or the Middle East. It escapes me what country it was. But to improve voter confidence, how about voter confidence in the United States? It's probably at an all-time low. Maybe we could use that money here. Or refund it and not waste it altogether. Give me a Doge dividend. I'll take it every day of the week. And anybody that doesn't want it, reject it. That can go right back in and help with canceling the national debt. Or, hand it off to somebody else. Donate it to charity. Do like Sheryl Crow did. Give it to NPR. I don't care what you do with it.
So here's where the rubber meets the road here. A Doge, a Doge dividend, you're looking at trying to cut $2 trillion off the federal spending to get us back to 2018, 2019 levels of about $5.5 trillion. Cutting $2 trillion, the estimation is you can take 20% of Doge's total savings, $400 billion, and return it to 79 million U.S. households that will be net payers of federal income tax. If you are paying federal income tax, you would see a return on your money. If you didn't pay federal income tax, good for you. That you're in a situation where you're not going to see any of this stuff. But I will tell you, as somebody who every year writes a check to the government, I like the idea that some of it's coming back, all because we decided to cancel contracts that were ridiculous.
Can you imagine the response from taxpayers when interviewers go out into the field and do man on the street and they talk to people who actually receive the refund? Because it's going to go across all demographics. It'll be men and women. It'll be young and old taxpayers. Can you imagine the response that that's going to get and the goodwill that it's going to create for voters of Donald Trump? Because they're going to say, he continues to do exactly what he said he's going to do and exactly what I've voted for him to do.
And how foreign, considering that you had the proposals that were like, for instance, from Kamala Harris, we're going to give this much X amount of money over to black entrepreneurs that decide to start a business. It's like, well, where are you getting it from? We're printing it.
Yeah, right.
All right, so that was the way that she was trying to play the game. Donald Trump has used the tax code, not only from 2016 to 2020, but even now, of saying, for instance, let's create opportunity zones. Let's make sure that if you happen to open up a business in an area we consider an opportunity zone, you will get the tax breaks to keep more of your money. It's your money. That's the mentality difference here. It's not let's go print some more and send it on over to you. That was a COVID-era policy. This is about you keep your money, or the government will send you back your money.
I'd love to know the prevailing wisdom. When was the last time that was the mentality in Washington, D.C.? I mean, does it go back to the founding fathers? Does it go all the way back then? Or was it,
maybe pre-income tax, federal income tax?
That had to be the last time that anybody in D.C. was like, no, this is their money. Let's protect it. You hear lip service. You hear politicians, Republican and Democrat alike, talking about saving people money, talking about not spending their money or wasting their money. You hear them talk about it, but you similarly heard so many presidents leading into Donald Trump's second term talk about cutting the waste, cutting the fraud, cutting the abuse, and they never did it. It was always lip service. And now you're actually seeing it. It makes me want to stand up and salute. It's exactly what I want to see, and it's exactly what I've hoped for. That we could give our kids and grandkids an actual chance at living the American dream.
One of the proposals that is currently out there, and it is bipartisan, the idea of having a limited amount of interest that credit card companies can charge you. Because right now, they are living high on the hog at 29, 28, 29%. And so the discussion has been, because again, you're talking about this basically being pulled out of thin air. What they're charging you in interest is what they believe can basically put you in a bind, but you'll still survive and keep using their card. Like, that's the number. And so the talk has been, well, what if we limited it, let's say 10%?
10%, yep.
Well, okay, let me give you an idea as to what the difference is there. So this is from Doge, and this is from their site. The U.S. government currently has 4.6 million active credit cards / accounts and have processed 90 million unique transactions to the tune of $40 billion they spent in 2024. So the federal government also is being hit at 28, 29%.
With those high interest rates.
With those high interest rates.
Which in turn means we're getting hit twice.
We're getting hit twice then. And so Doge is basically saying we're going to simplify this program so that we're not using credit cards as much as we are. Again, this is not like we're cheating the system at all. This is, Doge is basically saying, let's not use the system because this is what it costs American taxpayers for your convenience. Let's do this differently.
Yeah. I got to tell you, man, thinking about this, as much as I'd like to have a $700 check, what if we just put it toward the national debt? Like, we took that money and just relieved some of the debt. I think that's probably a plan that should be considered. Because, I mean, if you think about it, all this money that's been printed anyway is causing inflation. Does that then help inflation by paying down some of that debt?
Honestly, you can do both. You can spur the economy. You can put it on rocket fuel by giving people money. It always does the same thing.
Because they'll spend it. Right.
But because of your amount of cuts, your deficit will lower. Because remember, we're getting into tax season. And the federal government is going to end up bringing in right around $7.5 trillion. The problem is that we happen to be spending $7.5 trillion. Imagine if we were only spending, in the case of DOGE, what they're trying to get us back to, somewhere in the fives. We're making $7. You will eat away at this debt naturally while also giving the American people back their money.
Give me some compound interest, man.
It's going to be good if we can just keep the momentum going.
And we talked about this earlier. Even Joe Scarborough from Morning Joe was talking about the importance of slowing down the spending and not deficit spending, and the importance of getting the debt right and reducing it. I don't know what hit him. I think he like got hit in the head on the way to work or something. All of a sudden making sense, because he typically don't. 9 times out of 10, he won't. But it was interesting to hear him say it nonetheless. 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. 28th annual winter white sale going on right now, where you can save $2,000 on a new carrier system, keeping your family comfortable all winter long, and then when it gets real hot outside, all summer long. Team Trump is going to end the war in Ukraine. Progress is being made as promised. But there are some people that are sitting on the sidelines. We'll tell you who they are and why next. The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Tug, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Catherine Mayer seems to think that looting is okay, though it might be counterproductive. We're talking 2020, after the death of that career criminal and thug George Floyd. There was mass looting of shoe stores, jewelry stores, whatever in Los Angeles. And Catherine Mayer weighed in on it. Here's what she had to say. I mean, sure, looting is counterproductive, but it's hard to be mad about protests not prioritizing the private property of a system of oppression founded on treating people's ancestors as private property. So there you go. That's what looting is to the CEO of National Public Radio.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Atlanta Braves fans, May is Military Appreciation Month, and a great time to show your patriotism by purchasing a VIP table at The Warrior Alliance 4th Annual Veteran Impact Awards and Gala. The event will be held on Thursday, May 22nd at the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater at the Battery Atlanta, and features dining, live entertainment, and Georgia-based veterans being honored for the significant contributions they are making in our communities. Purchase your VIP table today or make a donation at thewarrioralliance.org.
Being in an accident really bites. You need people around you that are going to make the whole process easier to deal with. I just described David Van Sant at Van Sant Law. He used to work for the insurance companies. What an advantage. He knows who to call, what to say, and they're not going to pull the wool over his eyes. Give him a call. Van Sant Law, 855-GA-INJURY, vansantlaw.com, 855-GA-INJURY.
When you buy a Subaru from Subaru of Gwinnett, you're buying more than a vehicle. You're buying safety for your family, an investment that will hold its value, and something that will last a long time. You're buying trust. For a limited time, celebrate all the 2025 models during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, now through March 31st. Whether you're looking to match your adventurous spirit with the 2025 Subaru Outback or lean on the reliability of the 2025 Subaru Forester, Subaru of Gwinnett has the perfect fit for your family. You'll love exploring in the 2025 Subaru Crosstrek, and the 2025 Subaru Legacy is what happens when we put the best of Subaru into a sedan. Plus, every Subaru model comes equipped with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Subaru of Gwinnett has been your hometown dealership for years, and we're proud to be here to help your family find a Subaru to love for years to come. And our award-winning service department is here to ensure you've always got someone to lean on and trust when you need us. Stop in for a test drive on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth and meet our incredible staff, or start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
So, the doc says I have ED. ED. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just an abbreviation for a condition so many men have. If I was to be honest, I probably also have a little OCD. I know I have a great HMO. Heck, I even have 3 weeks of PTO. Look, don't let a few letters get you down. If you have ED, there's HELP. Go see Dr. Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. He's an ED specialist that will turn your life around PDQ. ED happens to a lot of men as we age. And just FYI, Dr. Deal can give you back the confidence you need to perform on the JOB. So, Ready to take the first step? Quit yelling WTF at your little BFF and visit tbtofga.com. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. They can fix your ED ASAP. And before you know it, you'll be screaming OMG.
I'm getting in the game. The world won't be the same. I'm good to go.
Call 404-777-1911 or visit tbtofga.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Wednesday, February 19th. There is a potential for winter weather making its way into the North Georgia mountains this morning. Several North Georgia schools districts have already decided to cancel class and are going virtual as a precautionary measure due to the hazardous conditions. Closed are Calhoun, Walker, White, and Whitfield County schools. Classes will perhaps resume tomorrow. Several streets around the Tech Square in Midtown will be closed off for vehicles and pedestrians starting on Wednesday evening as a Tyler Perry production will be going on in the city. Also on Tuesday, Braves full squad workouts began for spring training. As for game action, that will begin this weekend as they will face off against the Minnesota Twins to open up spring training action. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
The 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They're doing their 28th annual Winter White Sale. You can get a brand new Carrier system and save yourself $2,000.
White Walkers.
Yes, that's right. You have to avoid them. Steer clear.
No, you want to be one.
I meant you want to be one.
By getting hooked up with Central Heating and Air.
Yeah, help me explain that again, because I didn't watch. My wife, Laura, watched.
You have to fear the White Walkers.
Right,
they come from the north.
That's right. And they bring the cold.
They're cold.
Yeah, and they bring the cold. So
which, let's face it, when it gets hot, you want to be chilly. And when it gets cold, you want to be warm.
See, the analogy makes sense.
They take care of you.
If you watched Game of Thrones, which I did not, my wife did. I watched the first episode and I checked out after that.
You see what I did with Jure?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of pop culture stuff that he's a little...
no Avengers, no Marvel.
No Marvel, no
Thrones.
Avengers, no Thrones.
No.
Yeah.
I hit and miss.
He does know the Navy, though.
I do.
Very well.
Yes, look at there. See, I got all that down pat. I try to do the best I can with
Both of y'all service. That's why y'all are on top of these things.
Well, you're very kind to point it out. But Central Heating and Air Conditioning, if you want to get a new Carrier system, they have $2,000 in savings right now until the end of February. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. So the U.S. and Russia are negotiating. They're interested in ending this war, and as a matter of fact, they've agreed to the goal that we will end this war in their meeting in Saudi Arabia. Both embassies are going to put together a high-level team, whatever that means. I assume, just people high-level in the government to move forward and make the decisions. And this will happen. The Ukrainians and the Europeans will be brought into the conversation. They are not now, which is quite humorous, especially if you've been following this for 3 years, knowing that Zelensky canceled his trip. He was supposed to join in anyway, and he canceled his trip to meet up with Donald Trump. He was already in the Middle East, but he said, nope, I'm going to put my foot down. I am not going to accept anything that is not that I don't have say in. And I can't help but think about this. Look, you don't get to wag the dog anymore. You've been able to do that for 3 years. Joe Biden, anytime you raised your voice, Joe Biden was immediately responding, immediately putting more and more of American tax dollars in a package to send to you. And I think when Zelensky said, we wouldn't survive without the U.S., he realizes he's in no position to push back. And it's almost like when you talk back to your daddy the first time and daddy puts you right back in your place as a youngster. That's what's happening with Vladimir Zelensky right now. He's raising his voice and he's forgotten daddy's home.
This really does have the feel of the globalists versus the nationalists. I've told you the biggest two nationalist leaders in this world, and they're completely different people, are Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. And they're the ones that are essentially getting together this through proxies. Mm-hmm. They're having their people get together. It doesn't matter what Zelensky and the Ukrainians want. Ultimately, it's just a matter of the Russians no longer using any kind of aggression against them. Zelensky can say whatever he feels like. You're like my 10-year-old daughter. You can say what you want about dinner or your room or anything else, but you live under my roof and with my money.
And we'll take it into consideration.
It'll be taken under advisement. In fact, I will tell you, I duly noted, taken under advisement, but I'm going to do what I want to do, and that is what daddy, and he is your daddy, this is what he's doing in Saudi Arabia through his proxies.
Yes.
Going to work with the Russians to figure this out. Zelensky can complain all he wants about it, but they don't exist, and he's not even in power. In fact, he'll be voted out of power.
He's got a 4% approval rate.
As soon as they allow elections to happen again, he'll be voted out of power.
Which Trump has already said they need to hold.
That was part of the discussion. The Russians actually asked for it because they recognize Zelensky is a clown who wants to continue this fight. The Russians are sitting back saying, all right, listen, we got what we wanted. NATO's not going to be part of this. NATO's not going to be in Ukraine. Okay.
Which was the big...
Which was their biggest
that and the
issue
biolabs.
in the biolabs. Yeah. The biolabs and the whole idea of Ukraine becoming a NATO country. Those were the two giant sticking points, along with taking back over the Russian areas of Ukraine.
If you look at social media at all, which everybody does, I know, you've seen, especially on the liberal side, well, they can't hold elections right now. They're in a war. and it got me to thinking about it. I was like, well, didn't the U.S. hold elections during the Civil War?
Yes, we did.
So don't come with me to crying poor. Do what's right.
Now, we did, and this is the one argument, because they've had martial law there. We did suspend the rights of habeas corpus during the Civil War, but we also maintained elections.
That's right.
So, yes, we did decide that the rights that you're typically used to were going to be suspended on a momentary basis. When it comes to Ukraine, they haven't had an election in 3 years.
Reckon why?
Otherwise, their guy would probably be voted out. Remember, the one, your previous president, we did this as a story time, that we helped engineer a coup through the use of the CIA and USAID. It's not an aid organization. It's for international development. USAID is for international development. It's not an aid organization. We ended up deposing the previous president who wanted the same deal that we're talking about right now. We're the ones who plugged this in because we thought it was going to be more advantageous to be anti-Russian and to also be able to continue doing the work we wanted to do in the region with the biolabs and the minerals and everything else.
And ultimately, I love the fact that Donald Trump is not afraid to say, we need to get something in return.
Yes, we've given you a whole lot of treasure. You're paying us back.
You're absolutely right. And I agree with that 100%. That's exactly what I want to see. If it's something that we need from Ukraine, they better be ready to serve it up. Now, of course, Zelensky is pushing back on that, saying, no, we're not giving you these rare earth minerals. Now's not the time to stomp, the comparison to your daughter, to stomp your feet and walk to your room.
You are not in charge here.
And you're not even symbolically in charge that I can tell.
You, and the fun part is this, you're similar to Donald Trump, but without the power.
Yeah, that's right.
Donald Trump happens to be the most powerful man in the world as a former reality TV star. You're a reality TV star with no backing and no money and no ability to defend yourself without our help.
And Zelensky's like, we're not involved with the peace deals.
Pretty much Guy Fieri.
Right.
It's cute hair,
yeah, right.
Kind of fun, a little bit likable, no power.
You're on Dancing with the Stars Ukraine or something like that, or some TV show.
What do you really got here?
Nothing. They have nothing. And the Europeans have no room to talk because for 3 years they've done nothing. They've reduced all of their military. Each country has reduced the size of their militaries. And now all of a sudden, the folks at NATO, with the threat of Donald Trump saying, look, we'll pull out of NATO. They're like, well, we're definitely going to. He's right. We need to increase our military sizes for each country. Yeah, you think? Now's the time? You heard Pete Hegseth say, don't count on the Americans to come to your aid because you've done nothing to protect yourself.
There is, I always talk about this, big picture view. Like when we kind of zoom out from whatever the scenario is and take a lay of the land, it might be that Europe is changing in a way that is going contrarian to American values. And so we're looking at them saying, you've been a traditional ally of the West. You've been a free society. But what happens when you have a society that gives up freedom and doesn't consider it important anymore?
J.D. Vance, what his whole speech was about.
That was his whole speech, was that you all have left the arena of ideas when it comes to freedom. So what do we have in common with you anymore?
I can't think of much.
I mean, if you don't allow the ability to pray within your home,
that's a thought crime. It's labeled a thought crime.
Then what are we talking about? How are we then at all kissing cousins with these people? We're not anymore.
No, that's right. We cherish and value freedom.
They failed. They fell apart.
And will continue to march down that path. Now, I will say that the Europeans, the actual citizens of all of those countries in Europe, seem to be trending in the direction the United States is trending in. And that's why these European leaders are so terrified.
And you got to get rid of them.
Exactly right. And I hope they have the ability to.
Start with Germany.
You have to. The biggest nation, the biggest economic powerhouse in Europe, the biggest of all the puny militaries, but the biggest of the militaries. That's where it has to start, and hopefully it will continue and things will change. I hope those people are willing to sacrifice and fight, because we got called a lot of names. And I don't know that we sacrificed necessarily, but we got called lots of ugly names. We got told that we shouldn't be able to bank where we want to bank because we believe a certain way. Just all the restrictions that the Democrats and the leftists would love to put on you. Like, we fought through that. We were strong enough to fight through it and got to the point where we don't care what you think. Yes, we voted for Donald Trump. I hope Europe can do that too.
There's the moment where I put on the historical hat, and I think about, part of the reason why my grandfather was sent to Normandy and sent to Omaha Beach was in the interest of freedom. Was the French people loved freedom because they had a history. They had 200 years of here's what freedom is to us. The British, same thing. By the time that Germany was cut in half and it was the West Germans loved their freedom. These Germans are like, can you please make us free? That's the history of Europe. And to see their leadership go in a direction that is anti the very basis of freedom, speech. It's different when you say, I should be able to carry a gun. Okay, it's part of what we have our rights here in this country. But at the simplest point, what are you allowed to say? That's a basic freedom, and that is something that they are not allowing there anymore.
It's the most important freedom.
It is. It's the basis of all. It's a foundational element of freedom.
If you don't have that one, you don't have any others.
I'm free to think what I want or say what I want.
Imagine thinking.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, in Europe, that's
wild. That's we don't have anything in common with them anymore. If that's the case.
Thought crime sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound real.
It's Minority Report.
That's right.
You're going to do something in the future. We're arresting you now.
That's right, just to get ahead of it. It's nuts. And then you had the clowns on CNN talking about how it's a mistake not to include Ukraine in this meeting about ending the war. And Representative Tim Burchett, he was like, what? For the last 3.5 years, nobody's attempted to negotiate with Russia. Nobody. And now all of a sudden someone is. And people are all like, well, wait, I need to be a part. I'm an important part of this.
Should have done it 3 years ago, brother.
How about you should have done it when it mattered? Now that it's too late and you're being excluded, don't be mad. Don't stomp your feet and walk to your room. Wait your turn.
This is a meat grinder. The battle lines have not significantly changed, with the exception of there's a northern incursion every now and then by the Ukrainians. But I can still go back on Twitter. It's been 1.5 years, 2 years since I was like, this war is over. The Ukrainians have lost. What do you mean the Ukrainians have lost? What do you mean? It's like, they're giving up territory. Here's how it all ends. We have seen needless death and sacrifice going on for the better part of 2.5 years because we are basically now in trench warfare and nothing has changed.
The most important things are those lives, without a doubt. But for the American people, what have they given up? $200 billion plus, which half can't even be accounted for. That's what the Americans have given up. The Americans deserve to end this so we don't have to support it anymore. And all of those people, which is the most important thing, stop dying. You brought up something that was really good this morning when we were talking about how many people have died in Ukraine, and it's in the hundreds of thousands. And you talked about how awful Vietnam was, and that was 50,000. And then how terrible that the war in Afghanistan was, and it's 2,500. So those are American lives that are sacrificed, and I don't have enough good things and honor to shower upon them. But those are minuscule numbers in comparison to what have died in Russia and Ukraine during this war.
I think I'm really proud of the fact that my Twitter feed, for the most part, I mean, there's going to be some stuff you can go to and be like, okay, that was off or that was silly, but this is how you know that I am the Oracle of Atlanta, because you can consistently find things I've told you years before and go, wow, that turned out to be right. How about this tweet? There was a Wall Street Journal article that said, it's time to end the magical thinking about Russia's defeat. This is from David Sachs. I said this, I told you months ago, this was lost by Ukraine months ago, no matter how much money we pump into the conflict. And one person tells me back, you missed the part about how Russian citizens are now openly protesting Putin's invasion while Ukraine is making inroads into Russian territory. But please go on.
Yeah, inroads.
How are we? How are we looking right now?
They're about to they're about to surrender that whole eastern part of Ukraine because of that. The inroads that the Ukrainians were making.
This person told me that I was in my own bubble, my own echo chamber. Like, that military information is pretty clear. You've lost.
And it's so clear.
It's what it is. It's time to get out.
We've been saying it. I've been telling you. Los been telling you. We've all been saying it. This is a stalemate at best. The best thing you could call it was a war of attrition.
You're not running them out of the country. If they want to take your territory, it's theirs. Time to move on.
And I heard somebody and saw somebody yesterday saying, well, how can it be a peace deal if they're not giving back the territories? That's the way war works. This is not new.
Granted, it is supposed to be an international crime to seize territory, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, please tell me what you're going to do to
escalate the war.
And only
you're going to send, American men and women into there?
Not no, but hell no, hell no. Not American boots on the ground, and we already have special operators and contractors there. Even though the Biden White House lied to you for how long, telling you no, we don't have boots on the ground, knowing exactly that they had boots on the ground. When we continue on Extra 106.3. John Kennedy from Louisiana is always good for comic relief, but his point, it's not as funny. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
In college baseball, Kennesaw State hosted the number 8 Georgia Bulldogs for a midweek matchup. Despite the Owls' best efforts in late innings, UGA held on for a 6-4 victory. In Statesboro, the Georgia Southern Eagles welcomed in the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, with Tech claiming a 5-3 victory. In the Major Leagues, Braves spring training games begin Saturday afternoon at 1:05, taking on the Minnesota Twins. The Hawks come back from the All-Star break tomorrow evening, hosting the Orlando Magic. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Jerry Payne.
Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
Apparently, it's true. The facts are, 1, China sends fentanyl to Mexico. Fact number 2, there are thousands of Chinese nationals working in factories in Mexico, turning the fentanyl into pills. Fact number 3, the pills are then smuggled into America to poison us. How is it possible that the Federal Bureau of Investigation is not all along the border, and how come our U.S. military is not bombing all those factories? I mean, seriously, if I were president of the United States, they'd be blown up. It'd be like that freaking Harrison Ford movie where you get the undercover boys and you go wipe them off the freaking face of the earth and then suffer the consequence. Patriot game.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? That's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turfco to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turfco was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turfco to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
Are you the type of consumer that likes to do your research before you choose a company? Well, then you need to join Dan Watkins, Chris Lolamy, and myself, Jim Niarchos, every Saturday morning at 9 for the All Four Seasons Home Show. We only vet local businesses with a proven history of integrity, competence, and solid customer service. The All Four Seasons Home Show helps you make a good consumer decision, save money, and not get ripped off. You can also follow our podcasts on Apple, Google, and Spotify. The All Four Seasons Home Show, Saturday mornings at 9, right here on Extra 106.3.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
The Extra 106.3 app is your live connection to the station, streaming free across Georgia. But it's also loaded with all our original shows and podcasts. Listen to exclusive shows from Janelle King, Ben Burnett, and so many more. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra, 404-741-1230. We have laughed so hard this morning, and we appreciate you laughing alongside of us. We talked about really serious topics and dialed it in when we needed to, and we'll continue to do that. I want to strike that balance, and I know Los does too. Because the things that we talk about are oftentimes very heavy. These topics are very heavy, and it's good to be able to laugh, and that's what we did last hour. If you missed any of that, what we... The prank that Lowe's pulled on the Kimmer Show, which when we get to the top of the hour, I'm going to figure out how to get a hold of either A, Kimmer, or B, Pete, and bring them on to discuss. At what point did they realize that something's not right?
They had a vulnerability, and it's because Flounder's out after his wedding,
and Joe Virgin River's sick. So
the prep work that normally is done for that show is being left right in front of me, and I couldn't help but just play with it a little bit. That's all.
Couldn't resist. It
was right in front of me. I was like, man, if I can just get Kimmer to say a couple things that I want him to say.
It's just gravitational pull. That's all it was. You can't help it. You can't fight it. You just go with it, and it created something wonderful.
I feel like I've pranked some of the very best in all of Atlanta. I've yet to do anything. I mean, outside of when we had the Neil promos where he talked about killing lizard people and all the stuff that he was into.
That was early on in the AI
days.
Investigations.
Yeah, we've had some fun with AI, but that's I think we've had fun with everybody with this stuff. You know, you got put it this way. Nobody pranks anybody that ain't any good.
That's right, because it wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
Like, what's the point?
You prank people that are good.
Like Kimmer, because he is one of the best and has been for years and years and years, and everybody knows him. And everybody loves him, and that's why we're delighted that he's here on Extra 106.3. This is the only place you can hear him. And
3 to 6, everybody.
Yeah, if you're able to get one on Kimmer, you've done the work. You put the work.
Let's face it, he could always come in here and just shoot us all.
And may.
Man, it's entirely possible.
He won't shoot. He definitely won't shoot.
He's gonna look at Jure as a turncoat. Like.
No, see, I disagree. I don't think
you took care of me years ago.
No. When I first came in, maybe 2 weeks ago, it was in the afternoon, and he was kind of, walking around saying hello to everybody. And I walked behind him, and I said, "Oh, they just let anybody in here." And he turned around, he wheeled around, and I thought he was about to, but there was that moment of recognition in his eyes.
He was like, "Oh, it's Jure."
He's like, "I'm gonna hit him."
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're good here.
Quarter pounder.
There's quarter pounder. Yeah. You're okay then.
That's right. We have no idea why he called you quarter pounder, but at some point, we'll get to the bottom of that. John Kennedy is really funny. He's from Louisiana, and he said stuff like this: "You never interfere with your opponent when he's kicking his own ass." I'm like, John Kennedy, that's
True.
exactly right. That's wise words that are coming from you. He also says that the Democrats don't understand normal, which I also believe. But he tells them something about themselves that they probably already know, but needs to be said out loud too.
I've got a lot of friends who are Democrats, and they haven't asked me for advice, but if I did, I'd tell them, look, you just got to try harder not to suck. I mean, think about it. Over the past 4 years, the Democrats mismanaged Congress, they mismanaged COVID, they mismanaged the economy, they mismanaged inflation, they mismanaged the national debt, they mismanaged Afghanistan. More recently, in their opposition to President Trump and Mr. Musk, the Democrats have chosen to support the bureaucrats and the spending porn over the American taxpayer, just like they support illegal immigration over the rule of law, just like they support transgender athletes over women's sports, just like they support Hamas terrorists over Israel. All Democrats are not like this, but the party is controlled right now by people who majored in online activism with a minor in puberty blockers. I know these people. They think men can breastfeed. They're triggered by race. They cry if you use the wrong pronoun. And most fair-minded Americans look at this and they go, these people are about 10 exits past normal. And that's what's killing the Democrats right now, in my opinion.
Dude, if anybody else says that, like with a different accent, it doesn't work. Like they got to try harder not to suck. You know, if that came off with a hard Brooklyn accent, it wouldn't work. John Kennedy is able to hit it out of the park, and we giggle at it. But the point he's making is so true. Every one of those things that he said is correct about the Democrat Party. And as you'll hear later from a billionaire Democrat, he says these people are committing party suicide. What John Kennedy said is dead on.
Kennedy, James Carville, same place.
Yeah,
It's Louisiana. It's down home. Here's the way they look at politics. They have the exact same view of the Democrat Party, even though they're on opposite sides of the spectrum. James Carville, and if the story is legitimate about him showing up at Kamala Harris's headquarters and being appalled by the direction it was going in terms of you're going to lose because you can't appeal to men. Everything Kennedy brought up there has regular dudes going, y'all ain't for me.
And he said it in a super humorous way. They're 10 exits past normal.
Because normal dude who goes to work every day doesn't have time for your pronouns.
Do you have time for it? Because I don't. None of it makes sense. When you're saying that women should be able to compete men should be able to identify as a woman and compete against women.
I have 2 daughters, no interest.
It's nuts. I have no daughters, and it's nuts. It makes no sense. It just the addition doesn't work. And everything else that he brought up, he talked about common sense, and the Democrats are devoid of common sense. That party doesn't even welcome common sense. They reject common sense.
And I like how he pointed out that and he used the pronouns, but it applies to a lot of different aspects in terms of they immediately are looking to find offense with whatever you bring up. So if you say there's 2 genders. Remember, we joked around about it. He made a promo on Blue Sky. If you said that, you were off.
Yeah.
Immediately, you were gone. This party has this litmus test right now. And the litmus test is, how insane are you? How many genders are there?
Well,
I think there's 8. All right, you're okay. You're okay with me.
Or when they say it's hard to narrow it down. I've heard people say it's hard to know.
Well,
no, it's not.
It's hard to really know. No, it isn't.
It makes
it's
no
not.
sense.
You're
It's
either
really easy to
XX
know.
or XY.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
It's really, really basic. And that's where common sense applies. And I don't know. I really don't know how you go against knowing that the American people all feel the same way, that common sense should apply. Is it the golden rule? Yes. Is it what you should do? Yes. Is it always going to be perfect? No, it's nothing is. But for the most part, if your common sense tells you, you should probably follow. It's like gut instincts.
Think about what it's going on right now. We talk about those 80-20 issues, and that's what Kennedy is basically speaking about. He's like, they're on these 20% issue sides, and they all come across as crazy. Right now, you have activists that are looking to protest in the street over wasting American money and why your bureaucrats should be allowed to do it.
That's exactly right. And they're going to use lawfare because that's the only thing that they can do because they have no levers of power.
They're arguing for we should be able to waste American taxpayer money because we know better than you.
But Los, they're willing to sue to make sure that they're able to do it.
Sure, which is, again, we're talking 20%.
And
I'm telling you, there's a chance to bring old school blue dog Democrats into the fray with this stuff.
Of course. There is.
Like, you could have a murderous 2026, 2028 with this stuff. You can destroy the Democrat Party and progressivism as a whole.
But look at how the American people have already rejected all the lawfare so far. They know that taking someone to court and suing them over something that majority of Americans are in favor of is a losing proposition, and yet they're willing to do it, to rub it in the face of everyday Americans and say, we don't care what you think. We know what you voted for. We know how you voted. We're smarter than you. We know better than you. That's still their mantra. They still are dying on that hill. We know better. And let them die on that hill because it will be a murderous 2026.
Have at it.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy.
When we continue on Extra 106.3, getting into the bonus hour, the real reason Zelensky and the European leaders are out of the peace talks right now. Next on Extra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Government schools. You know I'm not a fan of what they call public schools. First of all, they're not public schools, they're government schools. They are owned and operated by the government on government land in government facilities, following government guidelines and rules. Government schools. Now in Florida, years ago, and this happened while I was still on the air, so that's going to make it maybe 15 years ago, they were grading all of the government schools. They would get a grade anywhere from A to F, based upon how well the Rugrats were learning, their reading capabilities, their mathematics capabilities. And if a school got an F, the students in that school were eligible for transfers and state money to get into private schools. So one year, a school in Osceola County, no surprise, got an F. The parents were outraged. The teachers were outraged. We failed? No, we can't fail. We're union teachers. We do all of this perfectly. So how did these union teachers handle that failing grade after the summer was over and the students were returning to school? Students whose parents couldn't get them a transfer to another school somewhere, parents whose students didn't have the wherewithal to put them in a private school, even with state help. How are we going to handle this? So when the kids showed up for the next year at this Osceola County school, the teachers were all wearing T-shirts that said F, a big F on the T-shirts. But underneath the F, it said something else. The T-shirt said F is for fantastic. They took failing schools and turned them into fantastic schools. What a way to con the parents and especially the students. Let's get rid of government schools. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Its intelligent technology is intuitive, its responsive performance, responsible. Turbo power with a hybrid assist, a digital yet sensual cockpit, and sporty elegance help make the C-Class a driver's delight and paradise for passengers. Get an exceptional offer on the 2024 Mercedes-Benz C300 sedan. Just $459 per month for 36 months with $41.54 due at signing. Exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details and see how to qualify. We'd love to welcome you to the RBM of Atlanta family. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta Sandy Springs through February 28th, 2025. Excludes tax tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station. Extra 106.3 FM. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta. A Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
He didn't like being left out. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Ukraine's president on the talks to end the war.
This Russian-American meeting in Saudi Arabia was a surprise for us.
Volodymyr Zelensky is meeting today with a special American envoy, while also calling for U.S. security guarantees, not trusting Russian leader Vladimir Putin, who just said a Ukraine resolution is priority. And Fox's Tanya J. Powers reports.
Zelensky made some of his most direct criticisms yet of President Trump, saying he was living in a Russian disinformation space. It followed Trump's suggestion that Ukraine was to blame for Russia's invasion. Zelensky also said his country won't accept a peace deal if they had no part in negotiating it.
Hamas has a new offer to Israel, negotiating phase 2 of the ceasefire there. They'd free all the remaining hostages at once if Israel pulls all its troops out of Gaza. Meanwhile, Fox's Greg Palcott reports from Tel Aviv.
Israel's preparing for a somber day tomorrow when Hamas is set to release 4 bodies of hostages they have held. The militant group said among them would be Shiri Bibas and her 2 red-headed toddlers. The youngsters have become the symbols of the horrors of the hostage-taking. On Saturday, the final 6 living hostages from the first phase of the ceasefire deal are set to be freed.
Elon Musk is defending Doge, telling Fox's Hannity the Department of Government Efficiency has one goal, slashing spending.
All we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president.
Democrats call Musk out of control, acting illegally, but a federal judge rejected an attempt to block Doge from getting access to federal agencies. The Washington Post reports the next round of Trump layoffs may hit the Defense Department. It's frigid in the Midwest, with below zero temperatures and wind chills. Montana down to Texas.
It's cold for over 90 million people, and we're going to have potential record lows. That's how cold it is. This is an Arctic air mass.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean, there are also winter storm warnings or advisories. Arkansas up to New Jersey with snow and ice forecast. America's listening to Fox News.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Wake up with the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 Atlanta.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. What? Are you singing along with Come As You Are?
No, I'm just saying that every now and then when you get into the show, that is my backing vocals for you.
I love that.
Just give you a little bit of extra something.
You're the Dave Grohl. I think Dave does the backing vocals on this song.
I would like to think that I'm the John Frusciante of the show. Like I'm here with Red Hot Chili Peppers to just give you a little bit of extra something.
Okay, all right.
It's that little extra sound that the Chili Peppers didn't have when John Frusciante was really hardcore into drugs.
Is he the guitar player that has kind of come and gone?
He's bounced around, bounced back and forth. They recognized early on, at the time they were all like 27, 28, and they're like, this 18-year-old dude is like amazing. Like, we have to have him.
However,
he's a bit of a tortured soul.
That's right.
But like when you go to like Californication, when you go back to that album, which is now 20 years old.
Seems crazy.
When he wasn't with the band for about 4 or 5 years, and then he's back, it has a totally different sound. Like his backing vocals and the way he plays guitar is so different.
First time I'd ever seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers was when they were at Truist Park. And it was one of John's, I think, one of his first shows back, or at least that was the first tour back. And they only played stuff that he originally played on. So all the stuff that they've recorded and had hits with while he was gone, they didn't play next door. So
that's actually pretty cool.
There were several songs that I'd hoped to hear, and Anthony Kiedis, the singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers, said, no, we're not playing that. If John didn't record it, we ain't playing
It's like it doesn't exist.
That's right.
Because remember, he replaces Hello Slovak, and he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
And they all are looking at each other like, this dude is amazing. This dude is so different than anybody else who's playing in our area. We got to have him.
And they got him.
Now he's 54, which really points to like, whoa.
Yeah, but I think he's kind of reeled it. I think he's got it.
I think that he's gotten his life a little bit more together. But that is a guy that when I can go back and listen to that album and just say, how different does this sound versus like listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers do like, I like pleasure spiked with pain and music is my aeroplane. I was like, no.
I dig that record too, though.
We got to go a different direction here.
Yeah, but it is a very different
I think
sound.
that's Dave Navarro who's playing on that one.
Right.
Yeah. You and I are total music nerds.
Yes,
about
we
this
are.
Stuff.
Yeah, and Dave Navarro was also in Jane's Addiction, and he was, married to Carmen Electra.
He's talented in his own right. It's
Absolutely.
just not for
just
Shanti.
different. That's exactly right. I mean, sometimes the guitar player makes that much of a difference in a band. I would imagine that if you took Jimmy Page out of Led Zeppelin, it sounds very different.
Doesn't have that same griminess
that's
to it.
Exactly right, man. So, yes, band members actually matter. And it's funny because in country music, which is where I've done most of my work for my adult life, they change out band members like it's Pez candy. Man, they just go through them. It doesn't matter. Because it's an artist and they build the band around the artist. It's not four guys that came together and started playing. I'm not saying that never happens, but usually the touring band is something that's assembled.
So I went to go see a Better Than Ezra concert. And this is quite a long time ago. It's probably 15 years ago. Now, by the way, I'll see them whenever they come through. So
I love that
doesn't mean I won't see them every single year, but it was like 15 years ago or so. And they were basically sending off their drummer. It was, I think, Travis McNabb, and they're like, he got an offer. He's joining a band. They're called Sugarland. And so he was looking at it as, hey, I auditioned. I'm going to go play with this band. And so, yeah, then I don't know if he's still currently, but you're right.
They're not touring, so probably not.
They will find somebody. Well, he became the regular studio drummer.
Oh, okay, got it.
Like on albums and everything else, touring and studio.
Okay.
So that was a big jump up for him because at that point, Better Than Ezra's 20 years after where they're at. Now Sugarland is blowing up at the time.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. Music is so fun. It speaks to my soul. It has, oh gosh, man, it has taught me so much, about life, and has been so relatable to me on so many levels, and that's why I love. Like, I was born and raised on Southern gospel and country, and then I kind of branched out and found the devil's music on my own, and was very drawn to it. I love it. And it's funny because my wife loves contemporary Christian music, and she listens to it more than anything else. And I'm not in love with contemporary Christian music. I'm very faithful band. I wear my Christianity on my sleeve. Don't try to hide it. But contemporary Christian music it doesn't speak to me that way, and that you could probably find good and bad in that.
If I may,
yeah,
I feel like music is your Mr. Miyagi.
Yes, it is.
It's your version of karate, which means open hand, by the way, Jerry. Karate is open hand.
I didn't know that either. Wow,
So,
look at there.
Well, there's
We've
only
learned something today.
two people that know karate. It's me and the Chinese.
That's right. That's so good. What about Travis McNabb? You got him pulled up over there.
American percussionist is how he's listed. And yeah, so he's
Is he still with Sugarland or no? Do we know that?
It has him listed as, let's see, where all has he played? Grammy Award-winning country bluegrass act Sugarland.
Okay.
So, yeah, he said it has him as studio, and he's been the full-time touring drummer with Grammy Award-winning country bluegrass Sugarland.
I would love to have Sugarland back on country radio because they have been sorely missed. Jennifer Nettles' vocals are incredible. Christian Bush, incredible writer and guitar player in his own right. Country radio is better when Sugarland's a part of it. They're just not really a part of it now. Hopefully they will be.
What, have they decided just to chill it out for a while? They're not doing anything? Like, I'm not up to date on my Sugarland.
They were, this power trio.
Right.
And then they cut the one member and went down to a duo, and then they were strong through all the records you just read about. And then they kind of went on a hiatus, and they both went their separate ways, both started doing different things. It was just...
Like Tenacious D.
Yeah, very similar to that, yeah.
Just not comfortable being a power trio.
Yeah, that's right. And so they've just not found that because they've kind of gotten back together and had been tooling around in the studio, I think, and they've just not had anything that popped. And I hope they do soon.
I saw Jennifer Nettles.
She's that voice, man.
20-some years ago, Eddie's Addict, playing barefoot, and it was my wife.
Like you on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yes. Well, I've got socks on, sir.
Without your shoes on. How about that?
But she was doing, and this is off of Soul Miner's Daughter. Yep. And so my wife was a giant fan, and so we went to go see her. And this is before the extreme blow up with Sugarland and everything else. And you're right. For somebody who was not familiar with her music, I loved the show.
Yeah,
it was so cool to listen to her.
She's got a new song out with Darius Ruckers. Ruckers, I put an S on the end of it. Darius Ruckers. That sounds like my wife.
It's like when my parents talk about me living in Cummings.
Yes, exactly.
Or going to Kroger's.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Or Walmart's. Yeah, and it's something my wife does all the time.
Going to Kroger's.
She puts an S on the end of everything. So does my mother-in-law, and so does my mama. Everybody does. I don't know. And I just did it too. It's their horrible S adding is rubbing off on me. But yeah, Darius Rucker and Jennifer Nettles' new song is called Never Been Over. And it's getting a few spins here and there. I like it. I hope you'll dig it too. Go check it out.
That's a hell of an endorsement.
Yeah.
I like it. You should go check it out.
Well, I mean, I guess I could oversell it. I mean, but why?
It's the greatest thing you've ever heard. You gotta check it out.
Yeah, I could have set it up that way, but I just would rather. Hey, if you're interested, go listen.
I did talk about this with my wife the other day. We have friends of ours that went to Nashville for like their anniversary. Once we're done with the whole home sale, home everything, new home craziness, moving, all that sort of stuff, I desperately want to go to Nashville and do we're on a rooftop by 11 a.m. and just listen to live music for 8 hours and be back at our hotel at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, have some dinner, go to bed.
Dude.
And I want to do that for like 2 or 3 days straight and come home.
Yep. We did that for a friend's 50th birthday party last year. I think it was last year. Dude, we had the time of our lives. And we didn't do anything out of the ordinary. There's a couple of venues that I wanted to take them to, and we saw some singer-songwriter stuff. And then we just went down on Broadway and did exactly what you're talking about. That's all we did.
We'll talk about this. I'm not saying it has to be a power couple, but maybe we do a group and we just say, hey, let's go get some rooms.
Yep.
And let's go do this, because I would enjoy the Tug Cowart a little bit tipsy at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and being like, here's $20, please play this song for me.
Play A Country Boy Can't Survive. Come on. Play Leaving Louisiana by the Oak Ridge Boys.
I need this. You don't understand. Exactly, you have to play this song for me.
One of my favorite. Play Fishing in the Dark so everybody can sing along.
Because everybody has a version of Fishing in the Dark when you're playing in Nashville.
There's no doubt. And go to the listening room. If you've never been to Nashville, or you've gone a bunch of times and never been to the listening room, go there. They do dinner and singer-songwriters. It's great. Sometimes it's people you know. Most of the time it's people you don't know, but are songwriters or performers in Nashville. Listening room is a really cool place to see.
Is there sunlight?
At the listening room?
Yeah, because I like being on top of the bar.
This is an inside.
I don't know then.
No, I'm saying you do that early.
Is it smoky?
No, you know what? No,
Okay,
I don't
two
think
strikes.
Yeah,
There's no sunlight.
it's
and it's not smoky.
But I'm just telling.
I mean, come on, Jerry. Like, the coolest thing is when you find a smoky room and there's the artists that are just doing their thing.
Have you ever been to the, it's like Santa's bar up there?
No.
It's a Christmas-themed bar that's in a trailer off in the woods. It's outside of town, but it's Christmas-themed year-round, and it's exactly what you're looking for, Los.
There you go.
That
sounds like Brown's Diner a little bit. Have you ever been to Brown's Diner? It's like a Waffle House meets Crystal in a double wide.
I want emphysema with my music.
That's right.
Like, I want to have the mixture of seeing something where I go, man, this is where artists do their artist thing.
Yeah. Then stay off Broadway.
I know, but still, that's more of touristy fun.
It is, and it's a ball.
And my wife and I have different tastes. She wants that. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I just like when things get a little more grimy.
Absolutely.
She has no interest.
Yeah,
So-
I get it. I know, man. There's some good honky tonks around there that you can find that'll serve both purposes in Nashville. And if there's places you want to recommend, just like Jeray did, 404-741-1230, Nashville, Tennessee. What should Los and his sweet bride do when they get done with this house sale?
Whole process.
This whole process that that takes a little while.
It's insane.
And then they get a group of people to go up there.
It's all crazy.
I know, but once you get it done, it's amazing. Because it's totally different. But I know what you mean, because we've been battling through and had to fire contractors that have made a mess of our home.
Did you hear about this, Jerry? The Tug estate had a contractor that messed some stuff up.
Yeah.
Bathroom, kitchen?
Bathrooms. We had them to remodel 3 bathrooms. We paid them like idiots up front.
You did all the bathrooms at the same time?
No. They paid up front.
Well, but that was the plan, to do them all. And it was going to take 3 to 4 weeks, whatever. And they got half of one bathroom done in 6 months. So we took a financial hit. We took a hit to our pride.
So it's a good thing that you're here, Jerry, because that helped settle him down a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
He's been upset for quite a while.
Well, they're, as we talked about earlier, they're remodeling all the ones around here. So you just come on down here to the Battery when you need to go.
See how it's done?
Yeah.
Come use the bathroom in the Battery.
Just drive down from Alpharetta.
Los will charge you $10 and take you right on in.
Thankfully, I have my
you
own
need to get in here.
card. No, Los have my own pass card. Now you're just rubbing it in, you a-hole. No, seriously though, when I knew we were going to take a financial hit, because I was going to hold their feet to the fire, and my sweet wife was in tears, and I was like, all right, we're done, and just took the hit, fired them, and we have a new group in there that's doing a marvelous job. But the point I was going to make is that now that they've been on it for 2 weeks, like, you can just see
the difference.
Like, it's like when you walk into the house that you're going to buy, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can see us living here. This is where this is going to go. And you actually see it come together, and it's so good. There's just getting a new car and getting a new house, man. There's nothing like that feeling.
Just a bit of a headache.
I know, until you get there.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
I just want to have it over with. And I told my wife this. I told her that I do not dwell on the negative possibilities, because if I did, I would stay up all night. I was like, so I just keep it moving forward. My normal mentality of everything's going to be great, and this is what we're going to do.
Me and my wife prayed before we ate last night, and we're still asking the good Lord to give us the ability to forgive the old contractor.
Thank you for this spam, Lord.
Yes, that's right. And don't let us hate Joe. not Joe Virgin River. The old contractor.
We're having spam and beans because of Joe, the contractor.
That's right. Who took advantage of us.
We were going to have steak, but we can't for a while.
For a long while.
Spam and beans.
For a long, long while. But it's the truth, man. We literally ask, good Lord, please let us forgive and move on, because it has been a trial. And I know a lot of people have been through stuff like this and can relate. Whether it's just moving or having remodeling done and the contractor's terrible. Headache for the United States has been obviously that war in Ukraine. For Americans, I guess I should say for Americans, for Joe Biden, it wasn't a headache. Lord, Joe Biden was like, yes, this is wonderful. I need to launder some money through here. We've got biolabs that we have to create things.
This is great.
There's nothing better than this, is there? I love this. But now that Daddy's home, and Trump's in the White House, he said, I'm going to end this war. And he is. He's promises made, promises kept. Zelensky, not part of the conversations. He's stomping his feet. The Europeans are like, wait, why are we not? It's our backyard. For 3 years, you didn't care that it was in your backyard. They'll be involved at some point when all the major details are nailed down between Donald Trump and the Russian government, when all that's nailed down.
Oh, like vultures.
Very similar.
Somebody else made the kill. We're come in for the carcass.
Welcome. Yes. But that's the way it's going to work. Because at some point, Zelensky will be brought in, and it will be nothing more than symbolic. The Europeans will be brought in. It'll be nothing more than symbolic.
No, it'll be, okay, it's time for you to just sign off.
That's what I mean, symbolic.
Because you have some remnants of power. I want you to take a listen to Donald Trump, because yesterday he had pointed out that part of the conditions that have gotten out there is that the Russians want to have elections in Ukraine again, because they believe that Vladimir Zelensky is purely a warmonger for profit at this point, and that he wants to keep the conflict going so that he can keep having money poured into Ukraine that then finds itself into his pocket and the oligarchs that they have there. Take a listen to how Donald Trump views Zelensky.
We're hearing that Russia wants to force Ukraine to hold new elections in order to sign any kind of a peace deal. Is that something that the U.S. would ever support?
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating, and where a country has been blown to smithereens. You got most of the cities are laying on their sides. The buildings are collapsed. It looks like a massive demolition site. So many of the cities. I mean, they haven't done it in Kiev because I guess they don't want to shoot too many rockets in there. They've done it 20%, but they haven't done it 100%. If they wanted to do it 100%, it would probably happen very quickly. But you have cities that are absolutely decimated. And yeah, I would say that, when they want a seat at the table, you could say wouldn't the people of Ukraine have to say, it's been a long time since we've had an election. That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me and coming from many other countries also.
Yeah. Why don't you have an election in order to perhaps find a different direction for the country? If you are tired of war, if you're tired of fighting conscripts, if you're tired of having to send people to the front lines in order to defend your country that may not have a big interest in doing so, maybe you find new leadership. Maybe you find somebody who actually doesn't want to steal money from other countries to enrich themselves.
I would be willing to bet that the Ukrainian people are in favor of those elections. 4% approval rate? I mean, we made fun of Joe Biden when he was at 29 and 30. Vladimir Zelensky, among his own people, is a 4% approval rating. Yes, he suspended elections because he's going to get his tail voted out.
You could have a watermelon with googly eyes on it.
It's just like a Mr. Potato Head, but a watermelon.
It would probably do better in a general election.
I would think so.
Against Zelensky.
I would think so. Yet, I bet he stays in power. Something just tells me he will stay in power.
They don't want to talk about it, and every now and then the left will put out their own propaganda about, here's what a Ukrainian soldier says about the war. The Ukrainian people don't want Zelensky, and they want out of this.
Yes, they do, because they're losing people by the thousands and tens of thousands. And so much so that people are defecting out of the army, and they're going to round them up in cars and take them back to fight again. It's unbelievable what's happening over there. When we continue on Extra 106.3, if you're feeling very positive about the future of America, you are not alone. 9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Doors, windows, roofs, siding, millwork, they do it all. Anything to do with the outside of your home, they'll give you 12 months, 0% financing, or you can get 10% off any job, no matter how big or small. 8779 Southern. SouthernExteriors.co is the website.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Extra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Extra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
Have you considered securing your family's future, protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease? Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit at nelsoneldercarelaw.com.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P-shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
If an emergency happened tomorrow, would you truly be prepared? Most Americans aren't. My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted name in emergency preparedness, is offering a special discount on their 3-month emergency food kit. Each kit provides over 2,000 calories daily for 90 days. These aren't typical survival rations. My Patriot Supply provides delicious meals and extras, including chicken, beef, real meat, fruits, and veggies. Being prepared is a state of mind. Take advantage of this special discount to secure your family's future now. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. If you order by 3 p.m., your order will ship within the same day, so you'll be prepared in no time. That's mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Wednesday, February 19th. There is a potential for winter weather making its way into the North Georgia mountains this morning. Several North Georgia schools districts have already decided to cancel class and are going virtual as a precautionary measure due to the hazardous conditions. Closed are Calhoun, Walker, White, and Whitfield County schools. Classes will perhaps resume tomorrow. Several streets around the Tech Square in Midtown will be closed off for vehicles and pedestrians starting on Wednesday evening as a Tyler Perry production will be going on in the city. Also on Tuesday, Braves full squad workouts began for spring training. As for game action, that will begin this weekend as they will face off against the Minnesota Twins to open up spring training action. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra until 10. 404-741-1230 is the number. 9 o'clock hour brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. you can get new doors, windows that are energy efficient, roof siding, all that, and get 10% off or 0% financing for 12 months. All you do is call them 877-9-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co.
What a party.
Yes, it is.
You have them out to your house?
Yes.
Redoing your home?
Good folks.
Good folks. Awesome time with that boy band.
Yes, it is. Lance and Noah and Jason and Mike. Yeah.
They have the right stuff.
Yes, they C-O-O-O-O. That's their website. C-O. southernexteriors.co.
I hope they start dressing.
With like ripped up jeans.
That's right.
Although, I will tell you, Jason, he is a very snappy dresser. He is very into fashion. His fiance, who is a lawyer and a judge in South Georgia. I mean,
impressive, yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how he landed her, to be honest with you.
Oh, why you got to take a shot at my man?
Well, I mean, I love him. He just outkicked his coverage.
Just saying, he's the Jordan Knight of the industry.
I know that. But I'm just saying, she's a lawyer and a judge. He puts roofs on houses. I mean, it just seems like those are two different categories.
Maybe she is very much into the hardworking man.
Yes, but she told me herself he has more shoes than I do. So, hardworking man, but he loves getting all dressed up. He's very
when he goes dapper, he goes very dapper.
But it's always
okay.
Even like we went to the SEC championship. Me and my cousin. I think I remember telling
Curtis,
y'all.
Yes.
No, different cousins. Nick lives in Orlando.
Oh, never mind.
Never been in jail that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not the guy who might deal meth.
That's right. That's cousin Curtis. This is cousin Nick. And Nick runs a big vending company down in Orlando. Great relationship with Dr. Pepper, who is the title sponsor for the SEC championship. And they do this big, huge tailgate. And so I went with him. I was very fortunate to be able to go to that game. And Georgia won. It was great. We went to the Dr. Pepper tailgate for a little while, and it was great. Then we walked over to the 680 tailgate. It was much better. And Jason was there, and let me tell you, even when he's going to a ball game, it's that. I don't know how to describe it.
Does he have an aura where you just go, that dude is on top of his business?
Yeah, he does. Okay. He does have that, but even more.
I'm much the same when I'm in public.
Yes, I know. And I've been around you in public a bunch of times. No, but what I'm saying is
look at how his pants fit him.
Like the way he's dressed, it'll even supposed to look like it's dressing down a little bit because he's going to a ball game, but it still outdoes everybody by a country mile.
We have a gentleman on our volleyball team. And it's the same thing. Even when he goes like relaxed look, he still looks sharp. We're like,
yeah. How do you pull that off?
Doc always looks sharp.
Yeah,
that's just how he looks, man.
Yeah,
he's always about the business.
Yeah, that's the way Jason is at Southern Exteriors. He got that same thing, like he down to his belt.
He's paying attention.
Well, but like his wife was like, no, you don't understand this. Like this is the special belt. Yeah, I was like, well, what do you mean a special? What does that even mean? A special, like a WWF belt? What is that? What do you mean a special belt? Apparently, he's not afraid to spend money on belts. Like that's what he spends his money on. He wants to look good all the time.
So he too can whip it off.
Yeah,
out of
like
nowhere.
Pootie Tang,
and immediately it goes right back on.
Knock something out of somebody's hand.
He just needs to let you know he can Pootie Tang with his belt.
That's exactly right. You
It's
never
the
seen
dumbest
Pootie
movie
Tang,
ever.
but great. It's a great movie too because it's so dumb that it's hysterical.
Out of time.
Yeah, that's right. Catch you tripping on running side. It's so good. This is one of my favorite movies.
Pootie Tang.
It's one of those you probably need to have 2 or 3 in you to appreciate it.
To really get into it. It's similar to, I would put, for instance, Beer Fest when I had my friends watch that Broken Lizard movie. Mm-hmm. I was like, listen, we all have to kill a 6-pack before we watch this.
Right.
And by the time we finished it, everyone was rip-roaring and dying laughing. Because you can't watch Beer Fest without drinking a bunch of beers. That's part of the game.
Dude, I love it when it happens that way. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. If you've been hopeful, you remember yesterday I was reading just random texts and from people. A friend of mine reached out, realtor, North Fulton, was just talking about how I just feel so encouraged. I feel like we're headed in the right direction. Things are good for the first time in a long time. And then I was reading tweets, just people in my timeline. It was like, I haven't felt this good about the direction of the country in years. And I thought it was just maybe a snapshot of what was happening with the people that I'm connected with. It turns out Rasmussen disagrees. it's almost universal across the country, across every demographic, and even political persuasion. People are optimistic about America again. Dude, we're not even a month into the administration of Donald Trump, and he's changing the hearts and minds of people that hate him at the same. They feel optimistic even though they hate him.
We started, January 15th? Somewhere right around in there?
What do you mean?
As far as like the new administration, when you had like real actual power. When, because obviously we got through the elections of November, we had Inauguration Day, and then we have basically gone into now week 4.
Yes.
So we're 4 weeks into this.
Yeah.
And the mentality is we're going back in the right direction.
But for people that didn't vote for him,
right?
Though,
no, they're on board too,
and they still hate him.
Well, I think there was a lack of leadership. I think they felt a lack of leadership. I felt that there was a lack of accountability. You did not know who was running the White House.
I still to this moment don't know.
I think deep down, the Aunt Pegs of the world, to go along with everybody else who's on that side. We had heard this from one of our good, strong listeners, and he had pointed out, he was like, I feel more comfortable with just voting for Democrat leadership. And remember we asked, we're like, well, but who's running the White House? He's like, well, I don't know, but I'm voting for the group. Well, now you're not voting for accountability. And that was the point that was made on this radio show 2 years ago. Now that you've seen what happens when there is accountability and there is leadership, even those that didn't vote for it can appreciate it. Because now there's a target. There's at least somebody to say, that's the person in charge. That's where voting against you means that I am denouncing what you're doing. That was not the case under Joe Biden.
And when you bring up a target, there's also a target of direction, too. Like the country has a target. Like, where do we want to end up 4 years from now? We want the border closed. Well, that's already done.
Done.
We want to reduce government waste, fraud, and abuse.
Working on it
right now. We would like to, I don't think this has ever been brought up. We're going to take that waste, fraud, and abuse and give it back to the American people. Never happened that I know of.
End to wars going on right now.
Right.
Working on it.
Even if you hate his guts,
month 1,
you cannot argue with the results. You may not like the results. You may, or maybe you may not like how he's getting it done or what he's getting done, but you can't argue with the optimism that having someone that you can look to and say, that person right there is driving the bus. That is encouraging to people, even if it's subliminally, even if they don't outwardly say it internally. It's just natural for you to go, at least I know who the boss is.
And I think one of the things that's been very strategic is that everyone who was involved in getting him elected has gotten something out of it. For those that felt that the party had left them, the Democrats that were more about RFK Jr., all right, Health and Human Services.
Right.
He put him in his cabinet. For those that felt like Tulsi Gabbard got a raw deal during the 2020 election and during their primaries, all right, she's got a spot in his cabinet as a former Democrat who has views that are certainly different than my own. For those people that were big into libertarianism, this is Donald Trump who's basically saying, I'm not only going to accept crypto technology, but I'm going to try and make sure it flourishes under me, and I'll bring in the right sort of people. And oh, by the way, I'll also pardon those that we feel got a raw deal from some of the lawfare against them.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of everybody to go along with his voting base.
And that's why it may be an 80-20 issue. Maybe there is 20% of the country that are still angry and bitter and hate Trump, and no matter what he does, they're going to not be happy. But 80% of people, just like you laid out, are being touched in some way or other by something they wanted or hoped for, and they're finally getting it. Rasmussen saying that he has become the best president. And this is from people that they've asked in their polling, and they say he is the best president we've had in recent history. That was another thing that was said, that the majority of people are saying, yes, I agree with that.
It's pretty wild, considering where we were.
He was Hitler 6 months ago.
4 or 5 years ago. This is the greatest comeback we've ever seen in politics. Now, there's like a handful of generals that came back, presidents that were able to come back, but not from the point he was at, where he was treated by the establishment as a criminal that you had to not just imprison, but you had to make sure and take away all of his money. Like, think about that. Like, the attack that was gone at, and not to mention 2 assassination attempts.
Can I say, though, is he perfect? No.
No.
Do I worship at the altar of Trump? No.
No.
Is he gruff? Absolutely is. But the one thing I think that brings this all together, the thing that is the adhesive, the glue, if you will, is that he cares about the country. He has so many faults, but he genuinely cares about America, and he cares about Americans, and it's undeniable. This is what actual hope and change looks like.
For audience members who are newer to the program, and you haven't heard me bring this up, I wish I could still find it. I can't. Back when, you'll remember the name, Greta Van Susteren, when she was on Fox News, that's 15 years ago? Like, it's been a long time since Greta Van Susteren had an evening show on Fox News. Donald Trump was a guest of hers, and she flat out said, and this is during the Obama administration, when we had the Chinese that were manipulating their currency in order to hurt our markets. And she asked him, would you ever consider running for president? He had one thing he said, and it stuck with me to this very day. He goes, if things get bad enough.
And they did.
And that's why he went down that escalator, because he was like, we are being so taken advantage of. We need to get back in the game here. And he has us back in the game.
Dude, here's the question of the day. Would he do it again? Like, if he could go back and not go down the escalator, knowing all that's happened to him, know that everything that he's been through, being shot at, being taken to court, trying, like you said, take away everything he has, to destroy him as a person, would he do it again? That's the $1 million question. My gut tells me the answer would be yes, but that's too obvious. There has to be probably more to that. If he were to think about it, genuinely think about it, and say from my heart of hearts, I would yes, or no, I wouldn't, because why would I subject myself to that? Because if it were me, I'd say, hell no. I'm not doing that again. No way. When we continue on Extra 106.3, a billionaire Democrat says his party is committing suicide. And he's right. Next on Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to Extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
In college baseball, Kennesaw State hosted the number 8 Georgia Bulldogs for a midweek matchup. Despite the Owls' best efforts in late innings, UGA held on for a 6-4 victory. In Statesboro, the Georgia Southern Eagles welcomed in the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, with Tech claiming a 5-3 victory. In the Major Leagues, Braves spring training games begin Saturday afternoon at 1:05, taking on the Minnesota Twins. The Hawks come back from the All-Star break tomorrow evening, hosting the Orlando Magic. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Jerry Payne.
The Kimmer Show is only on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
Well, Rebecca, hi. Welcome aboard. What's going on?
You know what? First of all, I'm so excited you're back on the air because you make me happy.
Well,
you make me laugh.
Well, I'm not sure that sounds like me half the time, but you're very sweet. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
When you buy a Subaru from Subaru of Gwinnett, you're buying more than a vehicle. You're buying safety for your family, an investment that will hold its value, and something that will last a long time. You're buying trust. For a limited time, celebrate all the 2025 models during the Subaru A Lot to Love event, now through March 31st. Whether you're looking to match your adventurous spirit with the 2025 Subaru Outback or lean on the reliability of the 2025 Subaru Forester, Subaru of Gwinnett has the perfect fit for your family. You'll love exploring in the 2025 Subaru Crosstrek, and the 2025 Subaru Legacy is what happens when we put the best of Subaru into a sedan. Plus, every Subaru model comes equipped with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Subaru of Gwinnett has been your hometown dealership for years, and we're proud to be here to help your family find a Subaru to love for years to come. And our award-winning service department is here to ensure you've always got someone to lean on and trust when you need us. Stop in for a test drive on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth and meet our incredible staff, or start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Hey homeowners, it's Flounder, and I'm here to keep you warm.
Well, I won't, but my friends at Dobbs Heating and Air will. As a new homeowner myself, I prefer working with local, family-owned companies who value what matters to me and treats my home like it's their own. The Dobbs family have a passion for what they do, and taking care of people is their primary goal. So if your home needs help staying warm right now, call Dobbs Heating and Air and experience the Dobbs difference. And check them out online at dobbshvac.com.
Atlanta Braves single-game tickets for the 2025 season are on sale. And not only can fans look forward to some incredible matchups this season, but the Braves have a ton of unique and exciting giveaways that everyone will want to get their hands on. Bobbleheads feature Chris Sale and Marcelo Zuna, presented by Delta. A throwback bobblehead featuring Chipper Jones from the 2000 All-Star Game, presented by SeatGeek, and many more. Fans can also look forward to collectibles like the 1995 World Series replica ring and red home jersey presented by Coke. And we can't forget about the kiddos. Every Sunday home game, the Braves will give away items to the first 3,000 kids through the gates. Even the adults will want some of these items, which include the Blooper Mascot Security T-shirt, Ozzy Albies Go Fish deck of cards presented by Curacao, a New Island vibe, a sliding mitt, pool float, beaded player necklace, and so much more. Visit Braves.com/promos to see all of these awesome freebies and get your tickets to see your Braves this season. Atlanta Braves baseball. We are Braves country.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Xtra 106.3 is proud to be your conservative voice in Atlanta, and we offer a huge slate of original podcasts. Head over to thepodcastpark.com and grab the podcast that you love, all presented by Associated Credit Union.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Xtra 106.3. Download the app so you can listen live and on demand. So when you commit party suicide is when you go against everything that the American people have voted for. And there's a man named Alex Karp. He is a billionaire.
What is this, Kool-Aid?
Yes, no kidding. The Technological Republic, he co-authored that. Palantir, I think is the way you pronounce the business, the company that he co-founded, which uses AI in defense contracts. So this dude's brilliant and knows exactly what needs to be done. And do I agree with him on everything? No. But do I listen to him because I think he's a really smart dude? Yes, I do. No different. Look, Rachel Maddow is Ivy League educated. She's really a smart lady. I don't agree with her on much of anything. But I do listen because she's no fool. She's no dummy. I just don't agree with her.
I think she plays the game well, but there's a reason why, for instance, a guy like Mark Cuban, who I largely thought he was pretty libertarian, I was willing to always listen to him despite the fact that he may not agree with anything that I have to say or anything I believe in.
I want you to hear what Alex Karp said about what the Democrat Party is doing and what it's going to cause.
What I don't like about what's going on is I just view this as, well, let's watch the Democratic Party commit suicide. And like, I've been a Democrat most of my life. I kind of view myself as outside it, but I don't like watching the Democrats just commit suicide. And what I see is most of the country doesn't really, at this point, given the fraud, waste, and abuse we know is there, 90% of the country is like, get rid of that fraud, waste, and abuse. Yeah. And I just view this as yet another example of the progressive left boxing themselves into a suicide dance. Now, what the progressive left should be doing is saying, okay, Elon, you're clearly the most qualified person in the world to do something like this. We want to dialogue with you about how you're doing and what are you doing. I don't believe that's actually what happened. And again, I like Elon. He's obviously the most important builder in the world. And I just think, if you want to say my former side, I don't believe that they're actually engaging. It's like another dance where I'm supposed to say, of course, it's like there's this one issue where I might, and then you get boxed into you cannot solve the problem. And then I would say, what is the biggest problem in this society? Biggest problem in this society, from my perspective, is legitimacy of our institutions. Why aren't they legitimate? They're not legitimate because, okay, do any of you really believe that 99% of your taxpayer dollars are being spent? But last and not least, and probably arguably most importantly, there's two revolutions happening. One is transparency and one is AI. Okay, so why is it that we do not know where every penny of our money goes? Like, how do you explain that to people? And by the way, slightly more technically, what large language models do is they mean you can go into the contracts and see exactly what happened. So in the past, we couldn't do this. Now we can. The right response is, we want this to happen. We want to happen. We want to be involved in the dialogue. The real response is, it feels like the people criticizing Elon don't want it to happen. And this is going to destroy those people.
It's so well summed up.
That is a very reasoned, very sane, very articulate response. Meanwhile, the rest of his party goes, I don't want to hear that.
The 20%.
Yeah.
They're the 20%. I don't care.
Elon bad.
That's right.
Trump bad.
Orange man bad. And if they're doing something good, we're going to call it bad. I keep going back to this when the Governors Association, the Democrat Governors Association said, doesn't matter what he does, we're going to reject it. We're going against it. So you're telling me you're going against waste, fraud, and abuse. We're going against them stopping this. So by doing that, you're saying you're in favor of it, right? Is there any other way to look at that?
MSNBC had a headline this morning. It said, Doge claims to have saved the taxpayers $8 billion. Turns out it was $8 million.
Oh, yeah. That's their, right. I saw that too. Well, gotcha. Boy, that's the gotcha.
Ooh.
Boy, did they get you.
You saved the taxpayers $8 million.
And that's not good enough because you accidentally said $8 billion.
But you said $8 billion.
Yeah, so that's all, but that's all you got. If you're the Democrats, that is the only response you have.
I'd call it baby games. That's all it comes across as. You know, you want to play baby games? We'll play baby games. You're playing on the edges. You're basically saying, I can't fight you in the actual ring, so I'm just going to be over here and I'll throw rocks at you.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm going to play baby games with you.
Left.
I got nothing for you.
And
he's pointing it out.
Billionaire Democrat.
Alex Karp is like, we should be taking part in this and doing it in this way. And the rest of his party's like, no.
Well,
in fact, you're wrong for thinking it because you're a billionaire.
That's right.
You're evil.
And that's the thing. He says, my former party, because he knows, too, that they've left him.
Parties die in America. It happens. It's not a foreign concept. We've largely had the same parties since the 1860s. Once you had the modern Republicans come into play, you had a Northern Democrat and a Southern Democrat. Now, a lot of the Northern Democrats started to kind of fold into being Republicans because they were largely on that let's talk about the abolitionist movement. Let's talk about the removal of slavery. The Southern Democrats were not interested. Southern Democrats are just modern-day Democrats.
Right.
That's what it is now.
That's the only thing that's not changed.
That's the only thing that hasn't changed. Yeah. And so to see a party like the Whig Party disappear in the late 1850s into the early 60s, it's not foreign. It happens. Sometimes parties decide to go a different direction. Now, what direction are the Democrats going? Because you might call it Democrats, but it's going to be something different in terms of the focus.
Right. They're just going to change their name to like the American Communist Party or the American Socialist Party.
Well, as we've heard from Bernie Sanders, when he calls himself, a Democrat socialist. Mm-hmm. You're just socialists.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so this is where we're moving.
And nobody's going to be fooled by that.
Yeah, it's democratic socialism. It's just socialism. There's nothing democratic about socialism.
Right, and the 20% are going to jump on board and be like, yep, that's right, that's who I am. While the 80% sit back, including Alex
Karp going, my party's dead.
I have nothing to do with these people.
Suicide.
They are committing suicide as a party, and he couldn't be more right. And the fact that the 20% don't hear it, don't listen, refuse to hear it, refuse to listen, is going to be what actually pulls the plug.
It's going to have to be a fracture point where you have, and unfortunately, the Democrat Party is largely led by the baby boomers. They're dying off. I mean, the 70, 80-year-olds are not going to be in charge that much longer to where they can determine where the party's going. But in their last breaths, their last vestige of power, they should be yanking this party back and saying, you can do whatever you want and call it whatever you want. We are Democrats, and now here's what we stand for, which is much more traditional of, let's say, the late 90s. Not what it's become. And if you want to go that direction, then you know what? As Democrat socialists, that's what you're doing. But you're not using the name Democrat any longer. But the party is not strong enough to do it. There's not enough people that recognize the problem like Alex Karp does.
There's no leadership to set the to set the standard, to set the it's almost like going back to what we're talking about, where people are more they feel better about the direction of the country. Even if you don't like Trump, you don't like all the things he does, he comes off as gruff, you don't like everything. And Alex Karp mentioned it. It was like, if there's one thing we disagree with, we jump off altogether. There's a person that is in charge that is leading the country, like it or not. The Democrats don't have that. They don't have one single person that can rally the troops and say, here's the direction we're going in.
Think about the Democrat leadership at this point. The most powerful Democrat in the country is Chuck Schumer. Beyond that, it's Nancy Pelosi, who doesn't hold the gavel any longer in the House, but she was still able to get a president removed from office. That's pretty powerful. That's the power of what they have. Now think about where they're out of. New York and San Francisco.
Yep.
That couldn't be more divergent with views of the world. So the minute they start centering the message, their power gets challenged. They can't talk from a Midwestern Democrat perspective.
And that's why they lost every swing state. Every one of them. Because those what was it called? The Rust Wall, the Blue Wall, or
the blue
whatever
wall,
that was.
You get the Blue Wall, the Rust Belt, whatever you want to go with.
Wisconsin, Michigan, all of them. And nobody up there relates to anything's being said, to your point. They're like, what? I'm not in New York or California, and I don't agree with those values, if you can call them values, those beliefs and values at all.
I don't think it's extreme when Alex Karp says they're committing suicide. They're committing political suicide with their stances.
That'll do it for us. Remember, Kimmer Show, 3 until 6 this afternoon. We're going to turn it over to the Glenn Beck program. He's taking from now till noon, and then the biggest show in all of conservative media. Play Travis and Buck Sexton for Los, and my buddy Jeray and Chris, too. Thank you for being here.
Jeray and Chris.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Look out, it's a Kimber. We've got your afternoons covered, all right, and the Morning Extra's got your drive-in from 6 to 10 a.m., too.
The CBS polling, and you know they